gonna kind of go way back, like pre-server merge and whatnot. But that'll be fun, kind of talk about where everything started.
Yeah, well, I just, we're on different servers. I just literally know you guys have done such a great job of staying under the radar. I'm really actually surprised you wanted to do this, because I didn't really see this as something you would do, because you just sit in the, I don't want to say you sit in the corner, but you kind of do. And I feel like that's where a lot of your success has been. Yeah. So.
I mean, really, it's with these types of games, kind of the way these games work. I mean, it's either you have a lot of gear or you don't have a lot of gear. And so if you have a lot of gear, it's like, are you really that impressed by the fact that you're killing somebody? It's like half the people in this game can't even hurt my striker. So it's like, what am I showing off, right? I'm showing off the fact that I don't have a life. Like, shit,
That's fair.
What's so impressive about it, right?
How long have you played Striker?
I have to go back probably about 8 months now, maybe. I don't remember. It was a little bit after it came out. Somebody tapped a pen at some point, and they just posted it up. I think it's the only one that sold, and I just bought it off the market, and I didn't have a striker at that point, but I just made one.
I forgot what class you were before that.
Ranger. Worthless.
Really? Okay.
But I mean, I was the GM of the guild at that point, so who cares? They can't tell me what to do. Shit.
Okay, calm down, Adam.
Oh, sorry. Let's all remember I was riding the elephant during every real fight. So, how much respect did I give myself?
Fair enough. All right, let's start from the beginning here. I'd really like to know about your gaming history just a little bit, just briefly. What got you into games? PC games? Do you play console games? What games did you play before this? What games do you still like to play? When you're sitting on a territory for 30 weeks, etc.
I mean, I'm of that age where computers was picking up, right? Computer gaming was picking up right around, my, very early teens probably. So when the games I started playing, when this shit first started, I mean, we're talking like old Lineage 1, right? We're talking about Ragnarok Online, all those types of games. And so,
wow.
I mean, I just played, every MMO that existed probably back in that day, right? The only thing I didn't touch was original EverQuest, because to my personal opinion, that game looked like shit even when it came out. So I didn't have any desire to play that thing.
It was rough, even because I played EQ on, what are you, about 30?
Yeah, 31.
Yeah, so that was my first MMO, and I'm looking at this, and you have to make some of I played when Planes of Knowledge came out or something. You had to make these hotkey buttons if you were a warrior, because you didn't actually have skills, so you had to type slash shield slam or something, and then you make a keybind for it off to the side, and it's this UI is garbage, and it did look like shit. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get the wrong impression. I mean, I bought EverQuest when I was younger, right? And I tried to play the game. I got into that thing, and I walked in or walked around whatever, and back then games weren't even close to like that. I mean, we're talking like Lineage, Ragnarok. Those games were way more interactive and entertaining at that point. And so I kind of just looked at that game like it was just a pile of dookie, right? And just moved on. But
Cacao Games Director wants to know what your level in MapleStory is.
I never played MapleStory seriously. I played it a lot, just off and on. But I mean, that's one of those games where it required you to actually do things for long periods of time. And if anyone thinks they know anything about me, they are correct in the assumption that I don't really do much of anything, right? I mean, I had no desire to actually grind in that game.
So you've always kind of played MMOs. What MMO or couple of MMOs did you play before here? Did you follow a community? Was Vision a community or a guild before BDO?
No, I met all these guys here in BDO. I had my own community of friends. There's a couple people that I came and played BDO with. The only one remaining right now is actually Giga Memeplex, who I don't know if anyone recognizes his name. He was in TradeFed for a long time, but him and I have always been close. I've known him for about 10 years. But I mean, we played Lineage 1, and then we played Ragnarok Online, and we botted that game. We botted Lineage 1, and then we played Lineage 2, and we botted that game.
Oh
And
man.
then we finally got into Darkfall because we started looking for
Holy
more.
shit, you played Darkfall too?
Yeah, no, very,
That's wild.
very seriously.
What guild were you in?
Black Shield.
Okay.
Yeah, we had
I
that.
was in Scare Bears.
It's
And
cute.
Bangsville. We had like one place off to the side. That was a crazy game, right? Because like you drop a siege on somebody, and 20 hours later, so like everything's nice and organized, and 9 p.m. Eastern's where everything happens, and you could just like drop at like midnight, and you'd have the content of the game at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I mean that game was pure sandbox. It was beautiful. I mean, it was the type of game where you could literally just go riding around looking at random different grinding spots that people would be at, just and grinding in that game wasn't the typical grinding people think of,
Right.
but you just ride around, you see people, and then like you just be scouting on them, bring a couple of your friends, and then you kill them and take everything they have. Like that was we loved those games. Those are always the games we played.
The
There
amount
was
of it.
this
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say there was this old and you could probably have to look it up, but there's this old kind of like I don't know what you call it, like 2D over the top looking game called Haven and Hearth, and that was a game that we played extensively because of the fact that it was completely open world PvP, complete sandbox, and the curve on that game was so steep that you could get to a point to where also it was permadeath, so you get to a point to where you could literally just destroy somebody's livelihood. Like they could have spent 3 months on the game, and while they're sleeping overnight, you could break into their base that they had built, take everything they had, kill them while they're laying on the floor, and then just destroy every building they have. So even if they try to make a new character and take their house back, it's all ruined. And so those are the types of things that I always enjoyed when I was younger. I think I've kind of grown out of that a little bit, but
Yeah, I was about to say like that was we played Darkfall like in our early 20s, right? So
yeah, exactly.
when you could just do now that I'm streaming all this time though, I was like up until like 5 in the morning yesterday, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm a 30-year-old man. Like
Yeah.
I need to get a hold of myself here. But it's funny, kind of I like asking about the arcs of people's games to see how they got here, because I often find that we all, the important people of Black Desert, we all kind of have a similar arc. We're all kind of MMO players. It's so rare to find somebody. I think Cowboy from Art was the only person I've really ever talked to that's a part of any major Siege guild or PvP guild that just played soccer and then picked this game up cold turkey into MMOs, right? And so like we all have this arc. So what drew you towards BDO then? Obviously, we know what the kinds of games you like, but when you saw it,
I mean, honestly, I just kind of tripped into the game. I wasn't following it at all. There was the original release for the beta release or whatnot, and we were playing Tree of Savior, me and a few people, and we're just playing Tree of Savior, just having fun, doing whatever, and their little beta that they had closed, and right in that small little gap, we were looking for something else to do, and I had just picked up Black Desert just to play around on it, and I thought it was pretty fun, so I got those guys to come in, and they started playing about a month later, and then
this game looks anime as
all it was.
fuck.
You look at Tree of Savior?
Yeah, I've never heard of it. I pulled up
that
pictures.
Game was supposed to be the successor to Ragnarok Online, like the spiritual successor.
Okay.
That was the intent of it. It still exists today, Enviously, he plays the shit out of that game right now. Yeah, I actually went back and tried to play it for exactly one day, and then I realized that game was dog shit.
Yeah, it's so hard to go back to
games
games
at the time, right?
Yeah, there's context games. I was talking to Blade. If you caught part of the Blade BoQuest interview, him and I played a lot of Star Wars Galaxies, and I was talking about how I went back to Star Wars Galaxies because they rebooted the pre-combat update, before they screwed up the game. And it's a 15-year-old game, and it's just like going back to games is just tough unless it's like an RPG where it's a confined kind of experience, and maybe you get some patches or something like that. But it's really hard going back to games. Okay, so let's talk about your early days within Black Desert Online then. So you find Black Desert, you kind of stumble into it. You've played games similar to it, so enhancing and stuff like that probably wasn't too foreign to you, like it was me, right?
Now I'll be honest. At the point when I started playing BDO, yeah, I mean, I'm already working. I'm out of college. I'm already working full-time job, right?
Yeah.
Trying to live my life, right? Doing all that type of shit. And so the first thing I aimed for when I got into that game was how can I maximize the amount of money I make in this game while being at work for 8 to 10 hours. And so the whole thing kind of started off with life skilling just because of that, right? So the first thing I noticed was that if I laid in a bed for about 8 hours, that would get me somewhere around, like 320 energy or so, right? So
Yeah.
what I would do is I would literally just lay in a bed for 8 hours while I'm at work. I'd come home, and in about 30 minutes to an hour, I would just either back in Calpheon, I'd roll Uria weapons off of that Calpheon guy, the Black Dragon guy.
Yeah.
And then when Media came out, the whole thing kicked off with Gruntle. And I would just do that, and I was making millions, just hand over fist. That shit was so broken back then. It was absolutely out of control. I was just like, I'd be sitting on hundreds of millions of silver, and I bought like a Zaka bow straight off the market, just didn't even care.
Wow.
Like everything, it was crazy, and and I was working a full-time job the whole time. Like it was silly. I mean, and that's what kind of got my buddies into the game because I was about a month in. They added Media, and I got my friends in. I told them, I said, just make as many characters as you possibly can, walk them straight to Media, buy a bed off the item shop, and just lay in the bed all day and just roll Grunto.
So that's where your love for Media started.
You got it right.
You're looking at this going, I'm gonna own this one day.
The craziest thing about it too is right when they kicked in Renown, I looked at my Renown and I go, I'm rank 5. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm already rank 5. They're like, how the hell are you rank 5? I was like, hey, you don't know how much Gruntle I made.
Wow, that's incredible. That's funny.
Yeah, because that thing's been hidden within the game for this entire time. It's just recently that they actually, kind of publicized it as being a thing.
Oh my God, Moreland just hosted us. 462 people, and they're all spamming chicken.
Chicken's the new hotness right now, man. I've seen those KR recipes. I mean, you gotta bite up quick, dude. I'm up to 6 million pieces of chicken right now.
Wait, am I actually missing something on this chicken thing?
It's too late now, but
is it? I can't tell if this is actually a meme.
There is actually new recipes that just popped on KR that use chicken.
I have 270,000.
It's okay. You just gotta watch Moreland TV. It'll educate you on everything you need to know.
Chicken secrets out. Oof. Okay, let's get back on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pay attention. Thanks for the host, man. Thanks for coming here. Okay, so what were you doing anything with? So I can't. Let me comment on. You actually brought your friends. I can't get my friends. Actually, yesterday, the day before yesterday, the days are blending together. Very recently, I finally got a friend to actually give this game a real try. He's like, I've played everything else on Steam except for Black Desert Online. And it's like I've been like telling these guys about how great this game is. It's got its flaws like any other game. And I'm like, it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. They're like, wow, you're doing really well on that Twitch thing. Maybe, I've played everything else. Maybe now I'll play it with you. So you get your friends to come in early on. You teach them how to make money. Are you in a guild? Do you just have like a small guild, friend guild? What are you doing with that?
Nah, we were all guildless at that point. I made a conscious decision not to join any guilds early because I wanted to see how everything kind of shook out. And this is going to come back to bite me once we start talking about my first guilds. But I made a conscious decision to kind of scope the scene and see what kind of guild I need to join a. What I was looking for was a kind of hardcore, serious PvP guild. I wanted something that was focused on PvP. So all I had to do was just chop wood all day and go PvP people, right? That's all I was really looking forward to doing. And so, I got my buddies in. I sold them on the prospect of making easy money before anyone realizes, just taking advantage of this Gruntle loophole that nobody seems to be paying attention to. And so they all got in. They got a ton of money. They got all caught up. They got ahead of the curve. And then I decided to pick a guild, right? And looking through the leaderboards, looking at what I mistakenly saw the meta as and what was popular, I saw a tag for a great looking guild, and they were the #1 guild on JP. server, and so to me that stood out pretty big. Number one guild JP, and because of that, I applied to join Hostile.
Okay. So how'd that go?
I mean, I got in pretty easily, man. You know, it was a, it was a, it was. I mean, it was a good guild. There was a lot of cool people in there. That guild was led by Remo, and second to him was Grimwalder, and they had this large alliance on Eden with 3 different guilds. It was Hostile, Waifu Hunters, Giga, and Manup.
Okay. I skipped over a question here. Did you have any other leadership experience before BDO, like in as far as guilds or even maybe in real life or anything like that?
Not in game. I mean, I work management, right? I'm a materials manager at an aerospace facility. I mean, 2 different plants that I'm the manager of. And,
You have a security clearance and stuff?
yeah, I mean, we
Shit, that's cool.
we make commercial airplanes, stuff for commercial airplanes, right? It's generally located in the Southern California area, Washington, and other places, but for big commercial companies. So
okay, we'll get into that
cool.
later. But I had that question. I didn't want to skip over that. So let's fast forward to the part where you find Vision, join Vision, help create Vision. Where does Vision come into your story?
Sure. Okay. I think the best way to kind of go about this is to give a little bit of backstory with the Hostile Alliance.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Hostile Alliance consisted, as I had said, of Hostile, Manup, which I would imagine most people know and recognize, and then Waifu Hunters and Giga. Giga was a Chinese-based guild. Manup was, Lucari, and Waifu Hunters was kind of just a semi-serious meme guild, right? They took the game seriously. They were good at what they did. They were autistic grinders, and together their plans, that alliance, was to take and hold Calpheon for the foreseeable future. With everything that had happened in there was I quickly took a officership kind of leadership position within Hostile, and we started working towards getting stronger, right? So back in that day, I mean, people took the game way too seriously, right? It was kind of weird. Like, we're talking like scrimming different guilds out in open field, doing like positional techniques and like literally just like marching down roads. Like, it was a lot of weird shit. A lot of it originated out of Gravity, as they were one of the top guilds on Eden at the time, and they took the game very, very seriously. It was very strange, but it was whatever, right? So everyone kind of fought against Gravity. Gravity consisted of a lot of the really strong players. They were the top at that time, and what ended up happening is within Gravity's leadership, there was a group of people, this core group of people that had played ArcAge together, and all those guys kind of got tired of a lot of this stuff I'm talking about, a lot of the overly serious video gaming that was going on, and so they broke off from Gravity and they created Vision, the guild, and that was FX, Bogey, a lot of those type of people, Ariwan, and they all kind of picked that small meme guild up, under the I guess the rule set of not taking that shit that seriously. And so
okay,
while they broke off, Gravity continued to grow with Torment and Judgment and leading the charge and whatnot with Pure, and Vision kind of just fell to the side, and they were just kind of like a group of just friends hanging out. And so I knew those guys, and so I kind of hung out with them a little bit. We talked a little bit here and there while I was in Hostile. And then one of the people that were in Vision, Morefast, he actually did the old 1-2 poach trick on me, and he basically kind of talked me into abandoning this whole hostile thing that was going on, because that 4-man alliance they had, that thing had all but broken up to the point to where everything kind of was falling apart, and hostile was slowly becoming a little bit of a joke of a guild, and I'd realized I kind of made a mistake on the path I chose for how I wanted to represent myself in the game. And so I broke off with Balance and Grimwalder, and all three of us went over to Vision. And that was a little bit before server merge, probably about 2 months, I'd say.
Boy, running a 4-man or a 4-guild alliance like that is just a shit show. So believe me, I can't. That's tough. I guess your server was obviously a lot more lit than ours was, than Orwin was.
I mean, it was packed. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing about it is, I'm talking that alliance, and then I mean, there was a whole other slew of people, right? There was the whole Mango Bay crew. There was Gravity. There was all those guilds all pushing for power, right? And the whole thing was it was getting out of hand a bit when I think that 4-man alliance realized that, like the guild Waifu Hunters, for instance, they were quite a ways above in strength because they had so many grinders above these other guilds, and so they're starting to becoming a little bit of a pissing contest. And we want these guilds to pull their weight, right? But they're not pulling their weight, so we kind of don't want to be a part of this anymore. And that's what kind of had happened. People started breaking off, and then either way, it's in the past. It's just really not that important.
I'm sorry. Somebody just donated $100 saying want to buy a 280 AP Ranger like 20 times. So that part got a little mumbled in the podcast. Thank you. I got to call that out. Thank you for the $100 donation. I appreciate that. Okay.
But if somebody does want to buy a 280 AP Ranger, please do send me a DM.
Oh, Monk at TOS.
I'm sorry. Who's? Not serious, guys.
Yeah, jokes. So now you're in Vision. That thing's kind of breaking up. So you said that they pulled you. You've got some friends. What was the early goal of Vision back in those days? Because
nothing.
How
that
did
it? We were just hanging out.
Okay. Were you sieging?
Yeah. No, we were kind of just hanging out, doing nothing for the most part. Just hanging around in Discord, chatting. I mean, it's really a lot of the things that I enjoyed. I didn't care too much about doing anything crazy, right? We kind of operated a little bit as a merc guild in the sense that we would drop somewhere, right, just to kind of fight. We didn't bring that much power because at that time there was only about 20 of us, probably in total. And so it was all just kind of for fun at that point. There was a small stint right towards the beginning of Vision where we were kind of just thinking about what we wanted to do, right? And so talking amongst ourselves, we realized that every single person in this guild was well above the average for gear score and I would even say kind of player skill. And so the discussion was really, how can we find another 20 people or so? How can we find another small group of people so we can actually compete somewhere? Because we were thinking about that, kind of Balnos, Serendia, like where do we want to go? What do we want to do, right? And so what had happened was after Waifu Hunters, the guild actually had broken up. Most of their members had merged into Gravity, which really boosted the power of Gravity up. And that's what made Gravity's one of the superpowers kind of midway through Eden, right? And so at some point a little later down the line, a lot of people kind of realized the same thing that I had realized, with Hostile and with that whole alliance they had going on, and even with Gravity too, right? Is these guys, they were really just taking it way too seriously, like doing drills and doing shit like that, right? And being really, really, really into it, right? Like, props to them, man. Like they really tried, they were really pushing to try and build something like that, but
that's one of Winners and I's favorite insults back to each other is we just tell each other we're taking the game too seriously, and I think we're both right at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, right? I mean, things a video game, man. Like it's you don't gotta try that hard, But so what had happened is a lot of those Waifu Hunter guys, we actually had one of them that didn't go over to Gravity, and he had joined with us just to kind of hang out because he was a little bit more of a social butterfly, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of like the I don't know what you would call it, like the little cool kid clique shit, right?
So the balance, like the balance that was in Man Up, moved up. That was the guy that was with you that came division.
Oh yeah, no, I had known Balance since the beginning of Hostile when I had joined that guild. Him and I we still are really close. You know, I know Balance really well.
I've had one interaction with him. I was in the Man Up Discord for a while when we were working together, like the real one, and I was in there and I was making friends with everybody, and I was having a great time. And then, you know, Trey and a couple other guys were teaching me how to get better at Warrior. It was really cool. It was really fun hanging out with the Man Up guys. And then Balance came in and he's like, why the fuck is Tim Allen in here? What? Get this kid out of here. And I'm like, why are you here? He's like, because I'm in the fucking guild, kid. Get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, I like this guy. He's awesome.
Hey, Balance is awesome. He's a great kid. Long story short, you know, he's really young. Right? He's a really young kid.
Yeah.
I would even argue that the age he said he was, you could probably take about 3-4 years off of that, and that was probably his real age. Right?
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. So he was really young, right? And so, you know, someone typically at that age, right? They're not going to get along very well with a bunch of 20-something-year-olds, right? So.
I did fine with me. Totally okay with that. That's on brand with me.
It took about a year and a half for him to finally hit his limit, and so that's when he kind of had to tap out. So he was kind of done with that.
Yeah,
so
he's
he's just kind of doing whatever.
Yeah, he was playing a lot of Arcade or something. I think he's like top tier PvP in Arcade anyway. But okay, so
yeah,
he's
a very good player.
Yeah, I got that impression. So you're looking to compete with Vision. When do you find this group of people?
Yeah.
How do you start competing?
So, as I was saying, with the whole serious thing going on with Gravity, you know, the whole kind of, I don't know what you would call it, the meme wave kind of taking control with Man Up, you know, kind of head by Lucari there, making lots of really good kind of meme videos, right? Kind of turning the BDO scene from something kind of serious and try hard into something more kind of meme and funny, right?
Yeah.
I think that kind of changes a lot of people's opinions on the way they wanted to play the game. And so I think what kind of had happened is combined with a couple of poor decisions made by the Gravity leadership on how they wanted to handle the guild, you know, basically on what kind of regions they wanted to attack, what type of people and what type of mergers they wanted to take in. They kind of went over the edge a bit in the eyes of that waifu hunter core. And because of that, those guys all left Gravity and came right over to PvP with us in Vision. And so with them combined with a couple of other people that we had picked up just along the way, one of them being Tony Trepex, we managed to amass somewhere around 40 people.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it was it was probably our first kind of big pickup since I had joined the guild. Just briefly before I had joined, they had picked up a large group of core players from Giga, the Chinese guild. Even though every single one of them they picked up were all English-speaking people from Canada. It was a little weird. But I don't know why they were in the Giga Chinese-only guild to begin with. But
I've had a similar experience with them.
Yeah, so basically what had happened is we were now sitting on 40 people, and every single person in this guild was geared to the teeth, right? They had, I mean, we're talking old school soft cap, right? Like these guys are sitting on, you know, 150 plus AP, right? It was intense. And almost every single person in the guild was a ranger at that point. And if anyone remembers what ranger was like back in the day, pre-awakening, it was absolutely bonkers. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. I gotta hold the conversation one more time. Somebody else is trolling with a $100 donation. So, 1 second. Change scenes. Yeah, it does sound good. All right. Oh, why isn't this working? Freaking Streamlabs. Damn, Monka S. It's really not working. It's not popping up, but we're gonna listen to it.
Tell BekiLL I'm tired of being a baby.
It's so long that it didn't show up on the.
Yeah, you got a bunch of S's on your stream right now.
Yeah, I see it. This is toxic. That's an awesome. This is slowly turning into Lucari's stream. Make it stop. He spent $100, man. I think we're gonna listen to some S's.
Yeah, just let me know when it's over. You know.
Every man has their price. For $100, I'll listen to a bunch of S's.
Brief intermission.
Yeah. At least the
ache.
Ache. There we go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Let's get back to real life here. Okay, so do you want to go do you want to start talking about the server merge? Are you ready for that, or are we still?
Yeah, no, we're right there.
Okay.
We actually, so what happened is we actually decided, hey, you know, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? And we saw Serendia, and at this time, we were really good friends with Cho Nation. You know, they were also a guild about the same size as us. You know, small, just kind of having fun. And we decided, let's just let's start doing some stuff on Serendia. And so we picked Serendia up, and you know, took it down pretty quick.
So you didn't see yourself as like a top tier player at that point. You guys weren't top tier. So like when Iconic came in, they're like, our name's fucking Iconic. Look us up, GVGS. You're like, fuck that noise. We're just gonna.
I don't think we've ever tried to carry ourselves that way. Yeah. I mean, internally, we all recognize that we were good players and we had really good gear. But the reality of it was, even back then, you know, 40 people in a guild when you could have 100, you weren't going to beat 100 people, right? Unless they were absolutely horrible gear-wise, right? Like you weren't going to take that type of people out. So we figured, let's just stick to our lane. Let's not try and overreach. Let's just have fun, because there's nothing fun about getting ran down by 5 times your numbers, right?
So you're part of the decision making right now. Would you say you're the number 2? You know, where are you in the pecking order of vision at this point, working with Cho on Serendia? I
was the shot caller, and so I'd probably put myself somewhere around like 3 or 4, right? It was at that time it was led, and the leadership style hasn't really changed since Vision. The only difference is now I'm the GM, but back then, FX, Cinesteel, he ran the guild the same type of way I did for the most part. You know, it was kind of focused on everyone being friends, you know, everyone kind of hanging out in Discord together, right? We want to be able to, you know, carry conversations with each other. You know, it's not about business, it's about pleasure, right? And so any sort of decisions that are getting made, no matter what's happening, everything always gets funneled up to the very top, right? There isn't a lot of decision making that happens without, I mean, they kind of joke about it, but kind of like without my blessing, right? Just like it was without his blessing. So,
right, yeah.
You know, he would pick up the phone and kind of just say like, sounds good, you know, and then everyone moves forward, right? So
I'm interested. I'm going to keep asking you that a couple of times, because I feel like now that we've been talking, we actually have a pretty similar arc when it comes to, you know, how we came to power in our own guilds and stuff like that. So once we get to where you swap, I'm going to tell my story. But okay, so I remember Cho Nation sitting on Serendia. Was it Cho Nation that sat on Serendia for forever? It was, right?
Yeah, that was post-merger, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I need to focus a little bit right on pre-merger. So
okay, I'm sorry.
Right around pre-merger, we had hit the 6 weeks, and at that time they had when you hit 6 weeks, you get no tax, right? So we had hit this no tax point.
I wouldn't know, but I'll take your word for it.
So we had we had hit this this no tax point, right? And you know, we've had communications with Manup people, we've had communications with Gravity people. We know what kind of money they're pulling in these other regions, right? We're looking at what we're getting, and we're doing the math on it, right? Which nothing has changed, by the way, just as a header to this, which is why it blows my mind sometimes with these people with Serendia and Balnos, right? And I apologize, Tim, if I'm giving away a trade secret here, but these regions, if you hit like a 6 week cycle on them and you start getting no tax on those regions, And especially if your guild isn't a full 100-man guild, you know, obviously this is, I don't know if this is something you can pull off nowadays, but with our 40-man guild in Serendia, pulling no tax off of Serendia, we were making just as much, if not more money than somebody sitting on Media Castle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing, right? And we loved it. It was perfect. We got to have fun fights against people that, you know, they brought more numbers, right? We outgeared them, we outplayed them. If we ever had too large of a Zerg coming to us, we were really close with Cho. Cho would always come work with us, you know, we'd have fun, we'd do stuff together. And we always just kind of sat there. We had fun, you know. We always called it Sunny Serendia. You know, it was the best of times. You know, there wasn't much better than that, right? It was a great time.
That's a bold statement coming from you, sir.
Yeah.
Not much better than sitting on Serendia, Sunny Serendia. Okay.
Sunny Serendia, baby. That was the best.
That might be a clip right there.
The thing about it, right, is the thing that changed everything, right? And I may be an over dramatic, but this is exactly how it played out. The thing that changed everything, the thing that flipped this guild up that next notch, wasn't even by our own choice. We were just hanging out on Serendia, just minding our own business, you know, just like we try to do in Media, right? We're just hanging out, just doing whatever, right? Not a big deal. Just, you know, just let us hang out, you know, bring some fights if you want. Don't do anything too crazy. Please don't Zerg me, you know? Yeah. But it's like Gravity, in their infinite wisdom, decided they were going to fuck with us. And I apologize for using that word on your stream, too.
No, you can curse on stream. That's fine.
Perfect. But they decided we're coming up to merger. We're coming up to the merger time, right? And they said, let's ruin their day. Don't ask me why. I couldn't honestly tell you. They just decided for some god-awful reason, they're going to take their mercs that they had in Kyokai and Critical, and they were going to send them both to us on the last week right before merger. And they were going to send them to come kick us out of Serendia so that we don't get that sweet, sunny Serendia title, baby. So that's all we wanted. We wanted that Conqueror Serendia, man. We just wanted to live the dream.
I mean, Torment was doing that. Have you talked to him about that? Have you ever spoken to Torment about why they did that? Or Wishfairy?
No. And by the way, it's the same problem they've always had. I mean, they haven't changed in that regard, really. I mean, it was the same exact problem. And they always bit off more than they could chew. They thought that they could control the entire world. That's what they thought. And they were under. They've always been kind of the Gravity leadership. It's important to kind of focus that one in there, because Manup had never really been like that. And people always kind of put them one in the same, but I know them as two different people, right? And so the Gravity leadership had always been the type of people that they always wanted to take more, right? Like it was to the point to where, you know, they would go and piss off, you know, whatever, right? And so they sent those guys. They kicked us out. They did it. You know, that was during Christmas vacation, I believe. And, you know, me being a normal human being, I obviously wasn't home on the computer during Christmas vacation. So I was out. You know, they didn't have a shot caller. They always tell me they probably could have won that. They definitely could have won that if I was actually there to call for them. I told them, too bad, boys. Ain't nothing I can do for you. You know, that shit ain't gonna happen.
Good for
you. So we lost it, and that was the end of it, right? Server merge happened.
Talk to me a little bit about Kyokai. I'm really interested, because I know they fought in some other places. Were they largely a merc guild? Just selfishly, obviously, I've been fighting Kyokai
and Critical
forever, right?
were attached at the hip.
Yeah.
At this time, Kyokai and Critical, the two guilds, were attached at the hip, and they were both mercs for Gravity.
That's
and
so
by
funny.
Mercs, I mean they were basically lapdogs for Gravity.
I took in a core of Critical. Like, Critical's main players came to Aftershock when Critical fell apart. Like, over time, 20 of them, and like good players that stayed with the guild for well over a year before they retired off or did whatever. That's so funny.
Yeah, the thing about these guilds, right? Think about these guilds. Think about the trends in this game, right? Is that history is always repeating itself. It still does, right? Any one of these types of guilds that choose to carry themselves in this way, right? Where they choose to intentionally kind of be a lapdog for somebody in that sense, right? Like any guild that is simultaneously trying to be a real guild while doing that, they almost always inevitably die. You know, like the guilds that don't look after themselves first, they for some reason decide that they're fighting some greater good by helping somebody else. Those guilds always end up dying because it's hard for their members to take them seriously.
Almost always, BekiLL. Almost always.
I mean, I would honestly argue that you guys look after yourselves. You know, you come over when you guys came over, and we're probably getting ahead of ourselves. When you guys came over to help us take Media back that time, that was just a one-up, right? You guys just kind of popped over and swapped over and hung out with us, right? And then
Yeah,
you went back with your own business.
That was some poker playing, and we are getting ahead of ourselves. But I'm excited to talk about that because you and I had no interface. The first time I talked to you was to figure out where to collect the tax from Medea.
Yeah. so anyways, to back it up a little bit here, server merge had happened. We lost our title, and we were a little upset about that. Not too much, is what it is, right? But we realized that they were going to do the same type of shit that started happening to us with the Vertex kind of Zerg Alliance thing the first time around, right? They're going to kind of just rotate around on Serendia and just be little cucks to us, right? Just kind of ruin our fun. So we said, you know what? Screw this shit. We talked to Cho, we got a couple other friends, and we just dropped our asses on Media and said, we're coming after you guys. And that was when we just kicked them right up out of that bitch. And then we said, you know what? You kick us out of Serendia, now we're kicking you out of Media.
Nice.
And that was when we took Media. So that was when kind of that whole fight kind of started between us and Gravity, in that kind of sense. And that one kind of went for a while, right? Fighting between Gravity, us with Cho, everything that had happened, Gravity's mergers, right? Gravity pulling in, whatever the hell their name was back then, Hexus now, right? Or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Iconic people or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then that whole little meme going on, us whooping their ass on Node, and then them deciding that they're going to try to come after us again on Media, us whooping their ass on Media with Black Rose, and then that whole guild disbanding, right? Splitting that merger up. And then they, went and joined Manup and,
So how did
basically
you
destroy that guild from the inside too? Huh?
How did you work out? You're working with guilds, you're fighting on Media, and all of a sudden, because you had it early on, you had a streak early on, right? And I think when I helped you was when you got knocked off for the first time once you sat on there. So that you're talking about that time, right? That was your first kind of streak.
I'll tell you the truth, Tim.
Yeah.
At the very beginning when we took Media, I have no goddamn idea why people didn't come. But you know what? We were scared every weekend. We were like, someone's gonna come and take this shit from us, man. And you know what? We're gonna hold this, and nobody would come. They're like, all right, whatever. I guess we're holding it again for this week.
Okay, I'll tell you from the outside perspective, because I brought it up. You were on there for 3-4 weeks. We had friends. We were kind of getting into it. I'm like, why is nobody hitting Medea? And I'm just naive. I'm from Orwin. I have no idea what's going on. But I'm like, who the fuck is Vision, and why won't anybody hit him? Let's just go drop there. And they're like, J-Train. I was J-Train then. The castle sucks, man. That's a meat grinder. What are you talking about? Also, those guys are crazy strong. They're crazy strong. We have no chance. It doesn't matter how many people. Like the things that people have said about you today, they've been saying about you since the second you got in that castle. There's no chance that anybody can beat Snake in Medea Castle. And it wasn't just my perception outside looking in. It wasn't just that it was Snake, and it wasn't just that Medea Castle sucks to siege. It was both. They were both opponents. It was a 2v1 right off the bat, or even a 3v1 because the combined forces. And so we just wrote it off. Nobody even thought about it. Nobody even considered. So Black Rose helped you get on Medea. And then Sasha was just like, was it Sasha then that was running it?
Yeah, no, Sasha was a big part of that. I mean, I talked to Sasha, and I'm sure more people will find out next week. Sasha's the same person now as he's always been, right? He's out there to get a good fight, right? He's looking to not be a piece of shit, right? Sasha in general is a very cool guy, right? He's a cool guy. He's a very good GM, and everything he does is, I believe at least for the better of his guild, right?
Yeah.
So, there was a long period of time there, where they tried to hold Calpheon, right? And that got his guild a lot of money, probably a lot of recruits, right? And a lot of respect from people. And now they're trying to hold Valencia. Right? It's things like that. It's the type of thing that I don't see a lot of other guilds doing, which personally confuses me a lot. I mean, you guys do it on Valanos, right? You're trying to hold something, right? To me and to my people and my guild, ownership of something is the most valuable thing, right? Like, just take ownership of it, right? Like I don't care that somebody gets a little more money out of Valencia, right? It doesn't matter to me. We picked up Media through all this history, and so we want Media, right? Media is our place, right? That's kind of just all it is. Like, there's nothing special about it. And we're not picking it for some strategic reason. We just like it. That's it.
Yeah, and it's so hard to do nowadays. And I think outside of Snake, sitting on a castle by yourself. Now we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but you know, ownership and sitting on something, of course, that's kind of the ultimate goal for every guild. But you know, I've made my living off of being friends with people. I don't get the best recruits. You know, when the top end of one guild falls away, they generally go to another guild that has, you know, those top end players. It's very rare that somebody wants to come to God, the copy pastas. I'm sorry, I got distracted. It's very rare that somebody breaks away from Snake, Manup, Vertex, etc., Tro Nation. We get them, you know, just onesie twosies, but we never get like a chunk of just really geared players that want to play with us.
Yeah, you guys tried real hard to pick up Zethian, man. I'm sorry about that.
Dude, I even asked you as a personal favor. I just like Zethian. We're both. He's a little older, but we're dads. You know, we're warriors. We just had so much in common. He's like, I really like troll GMs, and I'm like, fuck. Well, it's between you and me, you know.
I'll be honest, man. On the pure merits of Zethian's gear, and I would even argue his class, there's no way in hell he should have joined this guild, right? In the position we're at right now, he's a soft cap warrior with a pen weapon, right? So it doesn't make a lot of logical sense in the average gear score that we have as a guild, right? And his class in general too. But I mean, Zethian himself is just a cool ass dude. Like,
he's a great guy. Once you knew I wanted him,
he's a cool dude. He hangs out, he chats with people. He's everything you would want. So
I know he's a pickup. That's why
we had to push really hard to, you know, just kind of.
The second he was like, Snake or Aftershock, I'm like, oh my god, how the hell do I get him in here? That'd be so awesome. I'm sure he made the right choice, and he's got friends from Manup in there and stuff like that. Wait, you picked up like 30 people, right?
Yeah,
We'll talk
30 people. Counting on my hands, man. It's crazy. Once again, getting ahead of ourselves here, right?
Yeah. We'll get into the meat here. We're tickling the sizzle a little bit. So you're sitting. So what I really want to get into. Okay, go ahead. What were you going to touch?
Well, I just wanted to cover the last little piece there was that once we happened to land on Media, Cho Nation themselves actually just followed the exact same, you know, almost as if there was a procedure out there in building their guild up, right? They did the exact same thing. They went to Serendia as a single guild by themselves, you know, would bring a friend if they had to, and they kind of just tried to hold it as long as they could, right? And they built their guild around, you know, a community of people. Like, I'm in Cho's Discord. It doesn't matter if they're attacking me. It doesn't make a difference. I love those guys. Cho Nation is like the coolest group of people that have ever existed. Like, I go in there and I just gamble on their Discord because it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, they're cool ass people.
That
and
Discord
so
is something else. That
right?
Discord is something else.
Yeah. I mean, they did the same exact thing, right? They sat on Serendia. They held it as long as they could. They kept trying to hold it, right? Then they got strong enough to where they could start doing other things, right? They started going for Calpheon, right? Stuff like that. And eventually they just turned around and started attacking us, you know? It is what it is. But
yeah,
I still love them. They're still great guys.
Yeah, the Cho Nation arc is definitely interesting. So you've got, how long was the stretch that you sat on Media the first time? How many weeks was it? I know you got to know.
I couldn't even tell you. I think it was like 13. It wasn't really that much.
What? Really?
Yeah, because there was the
Am I missing?
Probably forgotten by a lot of people, but there was the 4-man guild attack on us. It was I can't remember who it was. I think it was Critical Kyukai or some shit like that. And someone in my Discord probably remember. They'll probably remind me. But it was
if you know in chat, go ahead and put it in chat.
Yeah, there was a 4-man push on us. It went the full 3 hours long, I believe it was.
Oh my god.
And it was before, like literally like the week before the patch, that if you stalemated, you got to keep the castle. So we were on the region. We're sitting on the region. They come, they attack us. It was God, I'm having trouble. It was Hickey Aftershock. No, it wasn't Aftershock. It was definitely wasn't Aftershock. It was I think it was Hickey, Hanaki, Vertex, and Cho. I think is what it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't even think we were named Aftershock then. I think we were still Rehab.
Yeah, and so yeah, and yes, Athanor. That was when I got the title on the elephant. It was a full defense the entire time.
So
Oh,
you
shit,
got knocked.
FML was there too. Fuck.
Did you
Either
go right
way,
back on?
they came. You know, they came at us. They did everything humanly possible to come at us, and we just
Oh, we
chopped them
were
up
there.
in the blender.
That's
man.
right. We were there. That's right. I missed that siege. We hit. Holy fuck! I was there. That's right. We were Aftershock. So I wasn't the leader. I had something going on. I've missed, I don't know, maybe 5 sieges in my life, and that was one of them. That's why I don't remember it, because I wasn't fucking there.
and there was more people
Joe.
there. There was more people there attacking us on that castle. That there's Feb reminded me there was more than 4. I apologize. There was more people there attacking that castle than I have ever seen in my life. And they came. They took the first gate down real quick, man. They're like, oh, we're going to roll right through this bad boy. They ain't going to have no chance. All right. They got to the second gate. They start pushing the second gate. They take that bad boy down real quick too, man. You know? And then they start running around that meat grinder, and they start to realize, holy shit, this guild has like 65 witches and wizards, and their entire job description is to beat my ass.
My guild was pissed. They were so mad. I set this up with Cho, right? Because I was doing the politics. I wasn't the GM at the time. And then I send my guild into a fucking meat grinder. And I don't even show up, and I go, it couldn't have been that bad. So Cho takes a castle, right? And so it was supposed to be Cho and Aftershock. And this is kind of where a lot of the tension between Cho and Aftershock exists. Because they message us like on a Tuesday, right? Which is early for siege plans in my world. And they're like, yeah, we need tier 2 elephants. So we're just going to have to take this bitch a second week. And we're like, no. And so that's why we didn't return, because we kind of got bamboozled on that one. And I'm sure they remember it differently than me, but so that was,
what
you got it back on
what
your...
it ended up happening,
yeah, okay.
right, is and this one, I think you may be thinking of a different one with you guys in show, which I think was one that was a little bit later, but this one was part of Vertex and their group of people, and I mean we just because this one was a full defense. We stalemated them.
Oh, okay, yeah, I am thinking of a different one. I'm sorry. Okay, so you got beat out before. I don't think I was there for either one of them. If Aftershock was there, then I wasn't there.
Yeah, so what had happened was we ran through that meat grinder. At that point,
Vert says it was Manup, Gravity, Waifu, and Iconic.
Oh, thanks.
Idiots.
At that point, our guild consisted of like 65 witches and wizards. We had like 20 warriors back when warriors were OP as shit, just bonkers. Yeah. But nobody seemed to recognize it. That's for some ungodly reason.
Yeah.
They had complete lingering super armor, this insane permanent like slow that they could just put on everybody anywhere it gets near them, right? And then they just one hit people with their 100%. And we had about 2 rangers. It was me and this other dude that went like 4 and 78. So that was the whole guild. And so they
okay, so you got knocked off once at like 13 weeks or something. So you guys are paid up. People didn't have fun. It stalemated. Then the patch came in, and then so you sat for another 10, 15 weeks, something.
No, it's important to know here. The patch came in, and what had happened was probably one of the only poor decisions I had ever made in my entire life. Kind of leading this guild was I decided to go with them, to go with Vertex, to go with the rest of those guys, whoever that shit it was, I can't remember the other idiots, and kick Manup out of Lens.
That's right, I remember that. So you were the GM at that point.
I was not.
You were not the GM, but you put this forward to do that.
At that point, I was shadow leading the guild, quote unquote.
Got
right?
It. Okay.
Kind of winter style. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I'm glad you said that.
I guess.
Okay.
Saul does a good job of it.
Yeah.
So I had made this decision to go there, and I promise you, that was probably the worst decision I'd ever made. None of my guys had any fun, right? It wasn't even that great, right? We ended up kicking them out, right? And we kicked them out, and the main thing we told them, we said, you got to give us the castle. If you want us to come, you're giving us the castle.
Yeah.
So we kicked Manup out. They gave us the castle, right? We sat there for like 2 weeks, and then we got kicked back out, right? And we said, oh, wow, that was fan-freaking-tastic, man. What a blast. We basically just wasted 3 weeks on Media that we could have been sitting on there chilling, having a great time. And so it was right around that time that we decided to go right back to Media and take it back, which we did. We sat in Media for a while, and that was when you guys came with Cho and all of them, and you guys managed to kick us out. Right, you managed to kick us out while also being little pains in the ass, I suppose you would call it. Right?
Severely losing on the KDA too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you all got the. Was there even titles back then? I don't think there was.
Backing up a little bit, actually, the that meat grinder siege that we had. If you go back, and my guys have the scoreboards, I'm sure I can probably get my hands on them. If you go back and you look at the siege scores, like the guild, Hikikomori, right? I'm sure you know all about them. They
yeah, I'm familiar with them.
When their siege scores, they had, and I think Orca actually has clips that he was streaming, looking at everyone's siege scores. They had, I think it was only one person out of every single person there with double-digit kills. Every other person was just deep in the red, just deep in the red. They were just bodies.
Our kill feeds from that was pretty rough too. We didn't have one person with double digit. Adam was great at. I'm not doxing him. That's how he's known in the community. Adam was great about talking up his guild, and then the second something happened with his guild, he was super good at those excuses. Like, oh, this didn't happen. Nobody showed up. All this kind of stuff. I lived with that shit for a year and a half, man.
The one person that had double-digit kills, that one person. That's I don't know if anyone recognizes the name, but that's Nail.
Oh yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. He would literally. We'd be talking about his what his strength was going to be, and he's like, how big of a fight are we expecting? I'm like, dude, we need Nail. He's like, oh, I don't know if he's gonna come. I'm like, we can't win. Like, you have nobody else.
Yeah, but he's our boy, man. He's been friends with some of our people for a long time before this game, and so
it was
once Hickey kind of died off, we just picked him up real quick. Even though he can only make sieges once every like 3 weeks, but I don't give a shit, man. Nobody cares, right?
Right.
If that gives any sort of explanation to people that are listening about the way our guild operates, like, we kind of just fall into this strength, right? It just so happens that a lot of these people that are friends with each other are really strong and know how to make a lot of money in this game and have good gear. But at the end of the day, like, it was no question. Like, I picked him up immediately, right? And he joined the guild, and everyone loves him. No one gives a shit that he doesn't show up every other week, right? Because it don't matter. And you know what? If he doesn't show up, he just doesn't join tag into the guild. He doesn't care. It don't matter. But he shows up and he hangs out with us every day.
And that was the difference between like who would push on a base first between the Trap Alliance. It was either Aftershock or Nail was there, so Hickey started. That's who the tip of the spear was. If Nail was there, it's Hickey. If he's not, then it's Aftershock.
Yeah, and he did work. He still does work.
Yeah, I bet he does.
He's a boss. He's still one of the top 10 geared people in our guild right now.
I fought him on stream before the changes, before they gutted Warrior. And it was brutal. It was very brutal. But I feel honored to be able to fight. That was cool. Okay, so I want to get into a little bit of GM to GM now. I want to get it in all the backroom politics that we do. I want to get into, you're sitting on this castle for 10 plus weeks at a time, a couple of times in a row. How is running a guild like that? So we know you're a close-knit group of friends and people that like to hang out, and community matters. How well somebody fits into the group matters, all that kind of stuff. Do people get restless? Do they just love the payouts? How do you keep them fresh? Is that where El Sneco Gildo comes in, or whatever it was called back in the day?
And I'll start this off by saying it took us I mean, I'd probably say about 6 months or more before we actually made the Node Guild a mandatory drop. We had originally started out as that Node Guild just being something fun to do. We said, hey, let's just drop into it. Let's do some shit, have some fun, right? But after about 6 months of, kind of dropping into that Node Guild, realizing that when we only bring about 20 people there, because that's the reality of it, right? Is we had 80 people that are just hanging out, and most of us will go play something else. Like we'll go play Maple Story or something, right?
Yeah.
We'll go play Maple Story 2. Like we're chilling, dude. We're doing whatever, right? And as long as we're chopping wood, right, you're still making money. So we'll go do whatever. But when that thing wasn't mandatory, it was this scenario of there being about 15, 20 people showing up to the node. And we would try to drop on like a T3, and we would get our asses beat. Like we would get stomped on. And when you're the type of guild that you're sitting on media, you're used to kind of winning fights, and you take these 20 people, and I would probably call them like the 20, try hard people, right, quote unquote, because they're the ones dropping the nodes during the week to go PvP.
Take the game too seriously.
Yeah. It started becoming a problem. They were like, they're like, this is bullshit. Why am I even dropping into this guild to do this? Because
we beat you. I remember specifically, it was a Hail Mary kind of thing. There was another guild that was strong, and they've died since. This was a year ago, and you had your 20, 30 people or something, and that was right when that meta was kind of starting, where like, you and Manup would get bored just sitting, for 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 weeks. And so you'd kind of fuck with some tier 2s or tier 3s or whatever was going on, and you'd help somebody out that helped you, or you just wanted to fight or whatever the case was. I specifically remember it was literally my last fight as a Meiwa before I rerolled to Warrior, because I'd found out the secret that Warrior is absolutely insane.
Absolutely insane.
I was
not anymore, but
literally walking away. I was walking away from the node because I'm like, this is a fucking waste of time. I got my 10 kills on my Meiwa, and I'm like, I'm done with this class, all that kind of stuff. And then I wasn't GM at the time, obviously, because as GM, I wouldn't walk away from a node ever. I'm the last person there. You go down with the ship. And then the GM goes, we just killed Snake or Vision or whatever the name was at the time. I'm like, I channel swapped. I had to wait to channel swap back. I was like, how the fuck did we do that? Like, holy shit. So that was a notch in our belt, man. We were high on our horse for 3 or 4 weeks after that. But you only had like 20 or 30 people at that time.
You're bringing up another very good point, right? Because that was another one of the issues, is that we were representing Snake in that guild with 20 to 30 people, right? And so when we would lose a fight like that, we get these people puffing out their chest, being like, "Ah, man, you guys are getting weak. We whooped your ass." Yeah. It's like, do you even look at this shit? Like, there was like 20 people there. What do you mean you whooped our ass? Like, come on, man. And that shit would actually kind of get on people's nerves a little bit. Like,
yeah, I can see that.
Guys sit there telling us they whooped our ass, right? There's like nobody here.
I gotta call out chat right now. So they're talking about how so I'm doing podcasts, right? Lakari did podcasts, and I'm very thankful for him for starting this, or the situation that he did. And then so I'm white, he's not. I went from Meiwa to Warrior. He went from Warrior to Meiwa. I just think that's pretty funny. I'm sorry, I just had to. Sorry. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I started as a Meiwa. My name was J Train. It's my life skill alt now. I went as J Train. So real quick, my story with the whole Tamalin thing is we took in a big merge, and it was right at server merge, and we were trying to decide.
I'm gonna have to stop you real quick, Tim. Okay. I believe this is my podcast about me.
No, I told you right in the notes that I'm allowed to tell a fucking story. Okay? Yeah. All right, kid. You know what? This isn't Saturday.
Let's move on to my story about me.
We've heard you drone on for like an hour. Just give me 5 seconds. And so the leadership at the time decided to put it up to a vote, like a straw poll on what to name it, and it came down to like the edgiest, dumbest names you've ever heard of in your life. And me and a couple people were like, let's name it Tool Time. And nobody would, and they wouldn't even put it on the list. So it's like, well, if you like it so much, name your character Tool Time. And I'm like, that's a great fucking idea. Family name, done. It's my 3rd family name change. I went from Mudbutt to Tool Time, and then I made a Warrior right as I rerolled. The day after that node war, we kicked your ass. I made Tim Allen, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. So I want to tell that
I
story
love
real
it. I
quick.
think it was a great choice.
It really is good. I've had to practice that so much. Okay, so so you're keeping these people, you're trying to keep them happy by dropping into Node Wars. But then, you know, the tryhards and the people that take the game too seriously, like me, are being upset that not enough people are showing up. So now you're making it mandatory. So what was the backlash from that? Oh, go ahead.
It's important to note that on top of that, I personally, I hate that misconception, right? That shit that exists within it, right? Like one of the first things people do a lot of the time, right? Between a lot of the leadership, right, is after a fight's over, they kind of talk to each other and say, hey, how many people did you guys have? You know, or how many people did you have? And I'm like, oh, I had 79, or oh, I had 83, right? But back when we were doing that shit back then with the nodes, nobody would ask. They would just be like, oh, we just stomped you guys, man. That was easy. Snake is weak. You know, it's like, okay, well, you know, I talked to my people, right? And I kind of, you know, figured out why is it that you guys don't want to go drop in PvP and, you know, do some shit. Most of them just said, fuck that shit. I want to go play another game. This game isn't that fun, right? so I realized that I had to flip the switch, right? I had to make it mandatory. I had to create a situation where they were incentivized to drop into that node guild, because in order to have fun, everyone's got to be there, because at the end of the day, no one's really having fun if they're losing, right?
Yeah, and we're content creators for this game. We're responsible for, you know, our guildmates to make sure that they're having fun. Did you get backlash when you made it mandatory from specifically the people that were like just kind of coasting? Coasting might be a toxic thing, but you know what I mean.
I got a little bit of the you know, kind of resident sleeper stuff, but the thing about it was that I built our pay system in a way to not disincentivize it, but to purely incentivize it, in the sense that they didn't even have to really show up to the nodes originally. All I asked of them was that they dropped and tagged into the node guild, right? And the hope was that by being there and being available, if people were just online, if it looked like it would be fun, they would come, right? And it worked in most cases, right? We started showing up. We started having about 60, 70 people. But then that's kind of where that whole alt guild thing kind of turned around, right? Because Manup started doing the same stuff, and I would even argue they may have even started doing it before us, right? Where
they were.
They started bringing a lot of people to these fights, and this was back when everyone was really comfortable with T3s. You know, there was smaller guilds thinking that they could just drop on there and get a free node, you know, and it kind of just turned into Manup and Snake, you know, 2 T3s a day, right? Manup and Snake, Manup and Snake, Manup and Snake. And I think that really kind of pissed a lot of people off.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Did you get a lot of backlash? Did it matter, right? So you're Snake, you know, your Vision, whatever you are at the time, you're sitting on Medea Castle, and people like me are getting real pissed off that, you know, even sometimes on a tier 2, I've got to deal with this shit. Did it even matter? Did it register to you, or are you just solely focused on the happiness of your own guild mates?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that we are not Manup. And this comes back to another thing, which is that if anyone has the capability, you know, or has ever used their brain and looked at the Node Guild history sheet, we drop on literally the same exact node every single day. The same one, right? I have done that intentionally since the beginning, right? Because to me, it's easier for everybody else that's watching it, right?
Yeah,
if
just
anybody
stay away.
drops there, right? I know they drop there to intentionally come to us, right? You know, they're there to fight us. They're doing it intentionally. You know, they have no other reason other than that. If anyone tries to feign ignorance that they don't know we're there, then they're just lying, right? And you can see the guys in chat right now doing it. C1, S1, C1, C1.
Yep.
Same every single week. Doesn't change.
I was wondering what that was. Yeah, okay, got it. Nice.
And that's what it is, because it's simple, it's easy, right? It gets the point across, and frankly, I wasn't really super into dropping to smaller nodes to beat up on these other guys. I was there just to I guess hand these nodes off to these smaller guilds so that they can dead drop for us, right? And by dead drop, I mean either block a spot or recently what you're seeing is drop a fort there so that we can kill it, so we don't have to deal with the silly militia system, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay,
it's
so
kind of the main thing.
let's let me take just 1 minute. I gotta get a drink here. I gotta take a bio break. I normally take a break every hour we do this. So if you could afford me just 1 minute here, I'll be right back. If you want to talk to chat or whatever.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, man.
If Jouska's still there listening, I got something for you. Hold on. I'm not gonna say it. You talking about if I say nah.
What the fuck?
I do not have any level 10 nodes at all. Level 10 nodes are a meme.
What
I
were
have
you
not
about to
killed a
say?
monster in player versus enemy combat in almost 2 years.
What were you about to say? Excuse. What were you? I have my headset on. I'm sorry. I have a super bad back. I have to get up and stretch every hour or so, or like I'm writhing in pain.
Look at this. He could hear us the whole time.
Yeah, I could. Nice try, boy. So what I wanted to ask is, do you feel like you ever get lumped in, or you ever did, or still do get lumped into kind of Manup's decisions and way of operating? Because you guys had some similarities, right? Obviously, you're sitting on castles, you dropped into nodes. Do you ever feel like their antics?
I mean, the only similarity we had is we were both strong guilds, right? I mean,
yeah.
You know, they had very different decision-making processes, as everyone had already seen, right? When we got kicked out of Media, you know, I don't like to bullshit about anything. I don't like to play games about shit. I don't like to lie to people about things, right? Like, I'm not gonna try and put a big guise over everything that's gonna happen, right? I've said it time and time again. I just want to take Media back, right? I just want Media. That's all it is, right? When they kick Manup out of Valencia, right? They start getting all these ideas. Like, they're gonna do like world tours around the region, you know, take a whole bunch of other places, you know, pass some castles off to some strong allies so they could come back and take Valencia with force, you know, all those types of things, right? And I'm just like, while you guys are spending 12 weeks doing all of that, Vertex is just sitting there picking their feet, you know, with Black Rose and Hexus, and they're all just hanging out, saying, "We're ready when you guys are, you know, come at us," right? You know, because
it wasn't quite like that, but
I mean, they went back once the entire time.
I may have been very vocal and clear about the dangers of throwing some of these guilds that no longer exist, very valuable territories. But this is your podcast, not mine. Someday, someone will interview me, and I can't wait. We'll find the right person for that.
The thing about it is, and you know, 1v1 Siege is coming in like 2 weeks, right? So
yeah, we'll
obviously
get into
there's no crazy thing going on talking about this. I'm sure everyone kind of recognizes it already, right? A majority of the best recruits that we got for this guild came when we were getting zerged by those people, because we would get zerged by them, and the nature of it is I will just keep going Media. I'm going to keep going Media, right? And they feel as if it is required of them to bring 3 or 4 guilds, because they don't want to make it rather they didn't, for this past tense, right? They did not want to make it a competitive fight. They had to make sure they won because they needed to feed their ally the castle that they owed them, right? And so what would end up happening is we would continue to drop, and these members with their 3 or 4 guilds, right? The members in those guilds were not having any fun. Majority of them were having a miserable time. They hated it, especially back during the lag times. They hated it. It was horrible.
right.
There was nothing entertaining for them. And so if you think about it, my group, my guild of 100 people, not having any fun. We're not having fun either, right? but we are causing 400 to 500 people to not have any fun either.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Yeah.
I'm winning that war, right? I don't lose that as long as my guild doesn't die, right? And my guild's not going to die. These guys aren't going anywhere. Like the core in this guild consists of over half the guild, you know? Like we fluctuate plus or minus, you know, a few people. Like the majority of the people in this guild have been here for over a year and a half. Like,
I think that's an important point too, and I think that's some content I'm going to put out for YouTube one day. Is, you know, how to run a successful guild, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's the most important part. Is your guild's core, the people that are dedicated to you, your guild, greater than the people that aren't? And so if you even flirt around that 50% mark, you've got a guild. You're going to be there for a long time. You're untouchable. And I think where a lot of these guilds mess up, or these super guilds, if you will, as I was explaining it to somebody earlier today, is where you gut two guilds, put them together, and hope for the best. And nobody knows anybody. There's no context or anything like that. So it's interesting to hear that you've got this, you know, big, large, strong, close core, because I don't think anybody really had the perception of that outside of Snake Vision.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
there was a whole phase where everyone thought nobody even cared about each other in this guild. Like none of us knew each other. There was a whole perception of this officer core in the guild hating each other, a whole bunch of crazy shit. I have no idea where any of it came from, but we would meme about it internally all the time.
I'm sure.
Like there's copy paste stuff that exists still that people paste, where it made no sense, but internally tearing ourselves apart for the last few weeks, you know, like all this.
I remember that.
Shit,
That's when
right?
I took Medea, man. I posted your copy pastas with my Medea crown, and people were like, I'm pretty sure Snake told you to meme, not be a piece of shit. And I'm like, yo, you don't know these boys. You don't know BekiLL, okay? I don't know BekiLL, but I know I'm fine, all right? So step the fuck up off that.
Yeah, and it was crazy because it literally the entire time was the exact opposite, right? And that was kind of one of the big mistakes that they made when they originally did that Zerg push with FML and Vertex and Cho and Hexus and about the 4 or 5 other guilds they had, you know, and it was like my guild's not going to die. We're just going to keep dropping, right? We're going to hang out, keep dropping. You can keep zerging us.
Here it is.
And all of a sudden,
well, for those out of the loop, Snake has been internally ripping themselves apart for the past few weeks. They have been losing consistently against tier 2 guilds. The entire guild is likely to collapse soon. I don't see them taking anything back personally. I put that in world chat like 2 or 3 times in a row after a node war you did, and I got some fucking hate mail. People are like, Snake's gonna murder you. Like, just, what are you saying? And I'm like, it's literally, you were doing the 50 energy thing. Like, it was literally your guild recruitment message. It was being spammed in channel, so I hit it in world, and they're like, you can't say that!
And this is stuff coming out of Reddit, man. Like this is like straight out of Reddit, out of like the guild ranking posts and shit. That
oh yes, that's the only thing I go to Reddit, you know?
For, man. And it's like, hey, just letting you guys know, Snake's falling down 4 ranks now because they just lost to the 5-man Zergon Media. I was like, okay, well.
So for chat, we are going to talk about the siege changes. I actually have some pretty good info about that too, so we're going to talk about that later. Do you have any time constraints, man? Are you cool to talk for a little while?
No, I'm West Coast, so I mean, I live in SoCal. So I mean, I came home from work at about 20 minutes to take all my clothes off, and now I'm here.
Nice.
So.
Can we get some no pants emotes in chat, please? Okay, so this is what I'm really interested in. Not that there isn't other aspects of your story, but tell me about the leadership change. Tell me about your words, ghost leading for a while, and then switching that over, and you know how you carried the old leadership style to the new leadership style. Any kind of pushback you got? I'm really interested in kind of the internal struggle of taking somebody else's guild and keeping that same culture, you know, which is a big management term, and then but also over time likely making it your own. Yeah,
I mean, ever since the Serendia days, ever since we were on Sunny Serendia, right? Once again, if anyone recalls the good old days on Sunny Serendia when we were all fun and having great times, we ever since that time we started kind of ramping up slowly, pushing forward, right? And we started kind of getting stronger and stronger, right? And as we're getting stronger, we're realizing we need to be picking up more people, right? So we start recruiting more people. And so what had happened is in the original days of this guild, you know, we had like the 40 people that were all close, right? fairly close, you know. And then we had the 60 people that the original leadership, you know, with Cinesteel and R1 and all that whole group of people that originally had ran Gravity as well. They started becoming more detached because these 60 people we picked up, originally they were picked up to be bodies, right? Like they weren't really part of the core clique. They you know, you'd catch one every 20, right? That's basically what it was like.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the way it was, right? And so that was really disheartening for Cinesteel.
I'm sorry, John No Pants Madden is the best meme that's been in here all night. You have no power. Remember, you'll never have no power. That's fine. But the John No Pants Madden, that shit needs to stick 100%. Can you explain? I'm sorry to interrupt your story. Can you explain that? I've seen it so many times, and I have no idea what it means.
I mean, have you ever watched John Madden when he used to cast a lot of football?
Of course.
You know, when he used to do play-by-plays and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's a really kind of dry humor, right? Where it's he says things that are extremely obvious, but in a way to where when he's saying them, he's giving off the impression that he actually thinks he's saying something intelligent, right? and so the whole thing originated during Orca's was that 2v2 tournament? I think it was, right? 2v2?
Yeah.
During Orca's 2v2 tournament that he hosted. I guest commentated with him.
Oh God!
and while I was commentating, you know the way Orca is. He's a cool dude, and so he was very easy to kind of play off of, right? And so when he was talking, he has that same kind of dry humor where he's talking about how this guy's being kind of stupid or whatnot, right? Doing whatever. And so I decided that I was just gonna start saying obvious shit. Just really obvious shit, but just completely dry. I'd be like, you know, like Orca would say something about someone lost. I'd be like, yeah, you know, I think that a more optimal strategy for this twos team would be to have that ninja go invisible. Because what I have found is that invisibility or stealth is a very powerful technique in getting the opportunity to initiate on an opponent.
They really need to pass the ball and get it into the end zone. Exactly.
Like if only he had done just a little bit more damage, then they would have won that round and they would have taken that victory.
That's awesome, dude. So Vert is taking responsibility for the creation of this meme.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, wow, there you go. Shout out to Vert.
Him.
If you don't know who Vert is, follow his channel. He's a new streamer. Okay, so let's get back to the leadership change thing. I'm sorry, I've been seeing this for so long. Ever since I've been promoting you coming here, I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? Because I guess I didn't pick up on that.
No, that 2v2 tournament was a blast. And if anyone from BekiLL Games is listening, if you can hear me right now, you guys still owe me a T-shirt for that. I gave you my address. This is not okay. Please do not dox me.
Well, that's an interesting point. Something I'd really like to promote right now is that BekiLL is actually watching these Thursday podcasts and the Saturday podcast. So I think we're going to have to take Saturday a little more seriously now that BekiLL is making a... I don't know. Yeah, Monk ass, exactly. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this or something, but it's clear. And he's in everybody's. He's in all of our streams. He's been in Verts. He was in Max earlier today. All that stuff. They don't miss a podcast anymore, which is crazy to me. So they're really trying to figure out what's going on
stepping
here.
It up,
yeah.
You know? Since the roundtables started, you know, they've really been trying to show their faces around, and that's all it really is, right? Like people don't expect them to be talking directly to you and doing all these crazy things, right? They just want to see that you're there, that you're active in the community, right? Like one of the biggest memes that existed in BDO back in the day, not counting that crazy ass chimney thing, which was nuts. Right? Not counting that, right? But the whole thing that got around was the fact that the CMs for the game were not actually allowed to play the game at a competitive level. Like that was like the meme that was going around.
Yeah.
And when that chimney thing popped up, I mean, I don't know about everyone else, but for me, I was like, holy shit, that is real. They are actually not allowed to play this game like this because they obviously don't know what's going on. And that was really eye-opening, you know, like people memed about it because it was funny, but you put that in context of the original story that was given to us, and that shit was frightening. Right?
Yeah, and now they have
crazy.
personal accounts, and it's very possible that the person you think is a spy and that doesn't use mic or doesn't go into Discord or whatever the case is, that guy could actually be from BekiLL Games. But
yeah, not in this guild, bro. Maybe in yours. Ain't no way those guys got this kind of gear.
Damn. Okay. Well, so I know Richter is the guy that's been kind of floating around here and really taking a serious and honest interest in what's going on. So I want to shout out both this podcast and Saturday. I know it's my thing, but I really want to get the community behind this because it's helping. I know it's helping. You have to realize the difference between BekiLL Games and Pearl Abyss. BekiLL is basically like our, they have a little bit of control, right? But they're basically our liaison to PA. And so they're the ones that are telling PA, whoa, this is what's going on. And so it's a little surprising to me how little they know about politics. But I think that's just my own personal perception, where if you just look at this from the outside in, it's even hard to tell who's really allied, from week to week and stuff like that, and the power shifts that happen. And so they're honestly interested in that. Why else would they be watching these podcasts and trying to get,
I mean, they gotta prep us, man. I mean,
yeah, we need
we're
context.
gonna be representing them in Global Siege, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anyone's been on the test server yet, but I mean, that is Global Siege right now, boy. I mean, my people are fighting people, and their names are not in English. I will promise you that. They are out there. We're brawling, man. It's like a 10v30 right now, and they are whooping our ass. We need more American people out there. You need to fight for us. Fight for America.
I'm sorry to ruin your dream. Richter's in here, and he goes, wait, am I wasting time doing chimneys? He's a pretty cool dude. It's been fun. Tell BekiLL I'm working on the shirt. Someone just hit me up about that. Soon, TM. There you go.
Yeah,
it's that kind of stuff that's cool, though. You're owed a shirt. You should get a freaking shirt, man. It's nice to have somebody that'll talk
the best thing about it, we have Axebot and Murray, right? And they were the winners. They won that. They still don't have their shirts, right? And their hats. And I know for a fact, Axebot, he will wear that on his stream for the rest of his life.
Yeah, right. Me too.
Old and moldy looking. He'll never wash it. He'll just keep wearing it every single day, and it'll be awesome.
As long as it's black, I'd wear one too.
True that. That's all you got, isn't it?
I've got like 12 of them. That's a different story. We're not getting into that now. I wear a black shirt to mourn the loss of Manup.
R.I.P. Lucari. Yeah.
So let's get back on topic here. I honestly, I gotta admit, I didn't think it'd be this much fun talking to you. Let's talk about we were talking about the shift of power, how you're maybe shadow leading, and then how you take a guild from, just to reiterate for people that may have just dropped in, how you take a guild that you were leading when you had maybe an absent leader, or somebody that was kind of handing you the baton, and then keeping that culture alive while you still need to make every leadership is your own. So you're keeping that culture, but you have to make changes for yourself. So if you want to, let's get back into that.
So where I left off was after beautiful sunny Sarandia, right? We we thought we would just attack Media, right? Be a thorn in their side, just kind of kick them out, right? We didn't realize it was going to pick up like that. We didn't realize we were going to start getting a lot of powerful recruits and picking people up, right? But we were trying to get more powerful. We had a lot of internal discussions about if we wanted to actually recruit people kind of as bodies, right? Obviously nowadays I know every single person in this guild. I know all 100 of them, right? Majority of them hang out with us, right, on a weekly basis, I'd say. Some people are working a lot, so you don't see them as much. But back then, it was like 40 people and then 60 bodies. And so that's the type of thing that really turned Cinestial off, right? He really just did not enjoy that because he wanted to be just kind of a small group of friends. And we started building up in power. And so the train started moving. And I think he kind of just fell off. He realized that he didn't want to be a part of that. He didn't like the fact that he didn't know any of these people. That really bugged the hell out of him. So what ended up happening is, I was shot calling and I was part of the officer squad, right? He was still active in there all the time. He never disappeared. And like I had said, the leadership hierarchy was always the same, where anything that was happening always had to pass through the top. It's the same thing we have now, where anytime we wanted to make any decision, if we wanted to do anything, right, it passes right through the top. Every single recruitment decision passes right through the top.
Wow.
So the way that type of stuff worked, right, it basically turned into a situation where he wasn't even playing the game anymore, but he was still making the decision. He was still hanging out, right? And so it got to the point to where we were sitting on Media. He hadn't played the game for almost a month, right? But we couldn't change GMs because we owned the castle. We couldn't do anything.
Right, yeah.
He couldn't even drop the guild because he dropped the fort, right? He was locked. And so when we had gotten kicked out, we took that as an opportunity. We got kicked out. We realized, shit, we can actually swap GM here. And so this thing that was kind of lingering for a long time became very real, very fast, right? Very fast. And so all of a sudden we're on this clock of, about a week before we had a chance that we wouldn't be able to pass the GM over again. And at this point, Sincio had been so disconnected from the game that he wasn't really even that much in touch with just the community anymore within that guild, right? And so
Yeah.
it was. I'd be lying if I didn't say it was a little bit of a struggle to get him to pass it over. He has a lot of respect for the image that his guild gave off, right? Like the image of Vision to him was really important. He didn't want it to turn into some gravity guild that was just trying to take power and take regions and dominate people and be a piece of shit in general, right? And so after a lot of talking, I kind of I told him that there's no intentions of ever doing anything like that, and I'd like to think that we still haven't taken that position, right? But we're planning to just continue playing the game. That's all we wanted to do. And so the only thing he asked of me was that I changed the name, and so that's why I changed the name from Vision to Snake.
So you talked him. This is the wrong verbiage, but you talked him out of it. It wasn't like a, hey, maybe I should step down from this kind of thing, or I don't have time. It was like a, I think I should do this kind of thing. You're pulling away. I should do this. You should really let me do this.
It was like a I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm going to give you GM. And okay. I said, well, hold on, let me finish. I said, all right, man, if that's really what you want to do, if you feel that's the way you want to handle it, that's okay. And then when reality hit, when it became a real thing in that week, it ended up changing very drastically, very quick. And it became, I don't think I want anyone to be GM of this guild. I think I want to just destroy this guild. I want to destroy the whole thing. I want to delete the guild. I want the whole vision name. I want everything to disappear. And that was when I had to kind of talk to him one-on-one, serious conversation. I had to tell him, like, hey, I get what you want to do. I understand that. I respect that. But, a lot of people put a lot of work into this guild. We have elephants. Yeah, we have elephants. We have all these things going on. This isn't the type of thing that we can just rebuild. Like, you will effectively destroy this community by doing this. And, I think the community, like I said, is one of the things that he respected the most, right? And so with that combined with the fact that he trusted me, I think, as a human being, right? He finally passed it over. I don't know whether he regrets it now. I think I would wager, if I was to take a guess, honestly, I'd say he probably does, right? But that time's already passed. So we changed the guild name over to Snake. It effectively carries the same exact kind of vision. No pun intended, but
So how about the early days, the early weeks, maybe even the early months? Because you hopped right back on Medea pretty quickly, right? It was right afterwards you got right back on. There wasn't any consternation about that, correct?
No.
Right. So was the officer corps and even the core members, or even some of the members that maybe you were less familiar with, was there anybody that really had any backlash about you taking over, the name change, stuff like that?
I'd say the only person that had any backlash is the one that keeps calling me a bitch in chat, which is February _
Oh, okay.
I would say it took a really long time to get him to I don't know what the word would be for it. I don't want to say respect because that's really silly, but kind of I think like me as a person. Originally, I think he disliked me a lot, and so
yeah,
I'm just glad that we're buds now. That's about it.
It's funny. There was when I took, not to steal your spotlight, but when I took GM, there was our GM came in and he's like, "Hey, I got a lot of real life stuff going on. I don't think I can do this guild service, and I want this community to keep moving. Um, you know, do you want me to keep going?" And all of us in the beginning were like, "Yeah, if you want to stay GM, and maybe you give somebody your account that can work on it." He's like, "No, I don't want to do that. I just, I don't want somebody else to log on the account." And then it came to be like, "Hey, Tim Allen, J Train. Everybody calls me J Train. I'll do it." Like I just raised my hand. I'm like, "Shit, I'll do it. Hell yes!" Like I've been doing all the politics and stuff. I was the reason we got into Siege, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we worked together, but like I was pushing that agenda. And there was one guy that specifically said, "Can we have a vote?" Everybody else is like, "Oh, Tim Allen will do a great job." This guy's like, "Can we have a vote?" So I created a co-GM spot and I promoted him to co-GM because I thought that was incredible. That out of 10 or 12 people in our officer chat, this guy was like, really? Him? We're really going to have him do this? And I'm like, I want you close to me because I would love to hear your distrust and the other side of things. I thought that was so cool that somebody was so vocal and a clear majority to be able to talk about that. So it's cool that you hash that out. It's interesting how all that stuff works out. But
Yep, Feb was part of the OG Vision group. He was in Vision far before I was. He played Arcade with them.
That's the same with my guy. He was he recruited me. This guy recruited me to what was Crack House. And so he's the guy that recruited me. Been in the guild forever. And now it's like, "Oh, it's my turn to lead." He's like, "What? Really? Yeah, this guy?" And now we're like best buds, right? He's like, "Oh, J-Train, can I come back in the guild? I've got some free time." It's like, "Yeah, man, this guild is as much yours as it is mine. Like, come on." That's funny. Yeah. So the you just had a little bit of backlash and you just, what did you change? Was there anything major that you changed? Any sort of cultural shifts that you made? Or had an agenda for?
I think we maintained pretty much everything exactly the way it was before. The only difference now is I would say I try to push the community thing even more than before, to the point to where, like I said, like inviting Zethian, right? Like I invite people to this guild because they're a friend first, right? Like my first criteria is friend of a friend or friend of mine, right? So it's Zethian. Although I did not know him very well, I know him a little bit better now. But I mean, his core group of friends were all in Snake, right? They're all in this guild now, and they've been in this guild for a long time, right? And so he was in Manup with another kind of core group of people that he hung out with, and so to him, I think it was kind of natural to come back and play with his friends. And so to me, I wasn't going to deny that, right? So I let him come back over here. The same thing with Masilis, right? And Vert, right? All those guys, Waco, Huntler, right? These are all people that we've been friends with for a while now. Although I think a lot of people in my guild would say how much they hate Huntler. A lot of those people that say that all like Huntler. So it's,
I don't know why it's a meme to hate Huntler, but for some reason it was a meme to hate me too. I have no idea why. Okay, so let's move on to your most recent streak, and let's start heading towards Trap Alliance, and you get knocked off. So you've got 30 weeks of just chilling. You've got your, what is it, S1, C1, S1, C1, whatever your tier 3 nodes that you hit.
C1, C1.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're doing that. You've got this rhythm. You've got to have fall off, right? People have to fall off, and you've got to get these people that are trying to come in just for your payouts, because your payouts are massive. There's no way to even consider denying that. So how do you sort through the people that are trying to leech? What?
It's not the way anyone imagines it to be. Honestly, our guild plus or minus is like single digits, right? In like a month's worth of time. And most of the people that are out of this guild, these people that leave at some point in time, is because they've just quit the game. Like most of them, if for anyone that sees our Discord, right, or has the capability of seeing our Discord, most of these people, they're all part of our guild still. Like we have like 100-something people, and probably about 90% of them are people that were in this guild, played with us, and then just quit the game and retired off, you know. And so the people we pull in, the people we've pulled in over time here, they've all come for very specific reasons, right? Like the Vertex core that we invited with that whole group of guys, led, well, not led by Black Sea, but Black Sea was the first one really to kind of come over. That whole core group of people, right? They all came over because they just wanted, you know, a group of people to hang out with. They didn't like the whole Zerg mentality thing that was happening, and they've all kind of stuck around now. And it's like I said before, this guild, a majority of the people in this guild have been here for well over a year. Like even when we pulled in these Manup people, something that people still don't seem to understand is that I wasn't kicking people out of this guild to invite them. It was these people that are in our guild. There was about 10 people or so that were in the guild just hanging out with us. And they showed up on Saturday because they're our friends. And they realized that if they're not there, then we're short people and we're weaker. And so they said, hey, I don't even play the game anymore.
Oh, hold on. You're going robot. You're going super robot. Hang on 1 second. Try again. You're there. Oh, very robot. Is it me or you?
Just
Robot spam. Switch Discord servers? Okay. Hold on 1 second. Try again.
You hear me?
Yeah, there we go. I switched Discord
All
servers. Thank you, chat. Appreciate it. BekiLL not human confirmed. Oh my god.
So
why you unplug our leader? Nice.
Look at this, dude. Yeah. So when we pulled in these Manup guys, right? Literally all we did is I told the like 8 to 10 people that we had that had quit the game, showed up on Saturday for Siege to play with us. I said, hey guys, you don't got to show up anymore on Saturday. You know, just you can hang out with us all you want, do whatever you want, but you don't gotta log into this game anymore. You guys are free.
Well, let's talk more about. I'm talking more about kind of just this 30-week arc, and there's guilds that die constantly. I see it first person all the time, and the first thing people say when they quit the game is, "Oh, I'm gonna retire to Snake or Manup," you know, and that's I feel like that's how you get kind of grouped into that, you know, situation, because most of those people ended up in Manup. Let's be honest, right? I lost some core people to Manup because they're like, I'm so done with Node Wars, tired of this shit. I hate the 3v1s. I hate the mercs dropping in from these higher guilds. I just kind of want to sit, life skill, chill, see how this game balances out, etc. And then, like 2 weeks after they join, they're at every single Node War for Manup, you know?
Of course they are.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's about the money to them. It's not about It's not about the retiring, right?
So did you get applications from these people that, you know, left Aftershock specifically? Let me give you a list of names. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, in general, did you get like people just like, oh, let me join Snake to chill?
I'm not kidding when I'm telling you the amount of apps that this guild gets on a day-to-day basis is ridiculous, right? Okay, it's insane.
Don't brag.
A majority of these people, they have no idea what the gear score requirement is, right? They are app and they go, man, Snake, you guys are so cool, man. You guys got 34 weeks on Mania. What? Can I get in there, man? I just started the game 3 weeks ago, but I'm a hardcore PvPer, man. I'm making money real fast. I'm on the up and up. It's like, I mean, like, I'm not trying to be an asshole to these guys, but
but
I
fuck
just don't
off.
respond to them, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
so talk to us about the chat's asked a couple times, and I've forgotten about this. Thank God for chat. Summit 1G. Talk about him.
What do you mean, man? Ain't nothing about it. That wasn't me. It was fun.
I know. Talk about it, man. It's Summit 1G. Okay, so I'll start. My favorite part of Summit 1G coming to this game was I owned Balanos, and Tim Allen's face was all over the place. And somebody that works for Twitch went, "Why does this game has Tim Allen's face all over it?" After I saw that, somebody sent me a clip. I'm like, I'm always doing this. I'm always doing this. So if you had any part of keeping him in this game long enough to see my face, I fucking thank you. But so did he approach you? How did this all happen? Talk about it.
I can tell you how it started out. No, he didn't ask for shit. We had a little internal thing between us and Manup a little bit. Lucari was kind of talking shit a little on stream publicly, right? There's a little bit of shit talking about inviting these streamers. This was back when a lot of those League of Legends players were all kind of playing, right?
Yeah.
And so
Shroud played for a while too, right?
Yeah, Shroud as well,
yeah.
Right? And so a lot of these people, they're all just kind of joining Manup, they're joining Snake, right? We're kind of hanging out, talking to them, doing whatever. And I realized that my guild is very different from Manup in the sense that my guys, they couldn't give a fuck, man. If it's a good joke, if it's for fun, right? They couldn't give a shit. If I do a payout where I drop every single person to 1 and I pay Summit a fucking T4, right? My guys, they couldn't give a shit.
Is that what you
dying.
did?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah, is what I did. We had a 0 tax week. Trep X was actually the one that was a sub to Summit, and had talked to Summit before. And Trep X approached Summit and said, "Hey, man, we want to just give you some money so you can have some fun in this game." And we had Trep tell him, we said, "Trep, tell him it's gonna be like, right, hey, we're gonna give you like 200 mil real quick, dude. Like, we're just gonna pay you a little bit of money, man. I'll be for fun. Don't worry about it, man. It's just it's just for memes, right? We'll pay you some money. It'll be great." And so Trep talked to Summit about it. He was all ready to go. He tagged in. He had a little chat with us, right? He was in the guild for about 10 minutes. We invited him to the guild. I go through the thing, do the payout real quick. Ding, 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 ding. 1's all the way down. Hit him on the T4. Press go. And that bad boy pops into his mailbox. He opens that thing up. It's like almost 900 mil. He straight shit himself. And then after that, it's like, your turn, Lucari. Let's see how much you can pay him. I know for goddamn sure they weren't going to do that shit.
Wow, I had no idea. That's funny. So he was in the guild for 10 minutes?
Yeah. You can actually see in the clip, I straight kicked him out of the guild right after I did the
you kicked him?
He literally opened the thing. He opened up the mailbox, saw the money. He was like, "Oh my god!" And then remember when I don't know if it still happens, when you get kicked, it disconnects you and kicks you out of the game.
Yeah, it does. His
game just freezes up, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell happened?" Everyone starts lolling in the chat. It's like, "Yeah, your ass just got kicked." Comes back in ungilded. He's like, "Oh man, I kind of was hoping I could hang out and talk to those guys a little bit."
Dude, that's fucking troll. That's crazy. That's so good. Do you have that clip? Do you know where it is?
Someone will link it to me. My guys all got it.
All right, somebody grab that. I have to stretch again. I'm having a really bad back day. Just give me one more minute. I'll be right back. I apologize. All right, I'm sorry. I have 3 herniated discs, so some days are better than others. Gotta get up and stretch for a minute. All right, so let's dig back into it. God, there's so many memes. Memes just surround you, man. Let's dig back into you getting booted off after the 30-some weeks. Because you were off for a while. You were off for a month, right? when when Trap Alliance came to rescue.
Yeah, hold on. I got this one for you if you want to play.
Oh, you got the. Is this it?
That's the one you want right there. The one I just linked. The one the other guys are linking. This is the other one is not the. It's not the best part. The one I linked. That's the OG. That's the one that my people know.
All right, let me set this up. I gotta change. Oh no, I can just I gotta change scenes to do this. Second, enjoy my edgy transition. Here we go.
Taking me a good month. Now I just got to figure out what I want to do with it, right? Like, do I go for a dandelion? Do I just go for? Do I try to get a dandelion? Okay, the server's been lost. Do I try to get a dandelion? I fucking ninja'd it, boys. We out. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not kidding.
Do I try to get a dandelion? Do I just go for the great sword? You know what I mean?
Dude, you got him so good. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was the end of it. That was the last time we even talked to him.
Wow. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and then I mean, Lucari, they never did anything like that for him. It was all just for fun, you know. And like I said, I knew the Manup guy wasn't gonna do that shit. No way. They were they had a little bit too serious of a system going on at that point.
So, you get knocked off Medaya after 30-something weeks. 20-something weeks, whatever it was. I don't recall.
34, I think.
Yeah, you were well established there. Nobody wanted to touch you. And I think you were struggling to get back on there, right? It'd been a couple weeks, you were getting zerged out, you know, they really camped. But it was, help me remember, it was,
I mean, they were just playing with themselves.
It was two separate alliances that knocked you out.
No, it wasn't.
No, but this is what
the same.
It wasn't predetermined necessarily, right? It was two separate, they all came together and then they fought each other.
No, it wasn't Tim.
Okay,
No,
enlighten me.
No, they're all buds, dude. That alliance was led by FML. It was FML, Vertex, Hexus, and Cho Nation, and then a bunch of smaller guilds, right? And that alliance was built by FML to kick us out because I will never know the answer why. I will never understand it. I have no idea. But FML, since the beginning of time, was a cuck to gravity. Literally since the beginning of time, since pre-Edan, like it was insane. And gravity merged into Manup, and they followed the same trend. You know, FML played their role. They were this powerful guild, right below that top tier. You know, I would say borderline top tier. You know. But for some reason, they would never put the pressure on gravity. They were buds to some level that was beyond my understanding, to where they set up an entire alliance of smaller guilds to kick us out of Media. And so it was intense.
So my perception on this whole thing is, I was focused on the Trap Alliance, and we were fighting for Balanos, and Kyokai was getting mercs from here. We're all trying to figure out who's going to bring in the third guild, and, you know, we're doing our thing, and we've got our heads down. And I kind of go, you know, Snake's been off my diet for, like, almost a month now.
Yeah. Every week we would drop, and every week they would drop every single guild. And when they dropped every single guild, the first thing they would do is they would take all 5 to 10 guilds. They would run it down mid. They would knock us out. Whole server would be frozen. Wouldn't even matter because they're swinging into nothing, man. Server freeze unlocks for a second. They go, oh, we did 5 more % to the fort.
Yep.
And they would just ass blast us. And then once they killed us, they would take a breather. They'd reset. They'd all go back to their base, and then they'd blow the whistle. Let's fight each other, guys. We're doing a 1v1. You know.
Well,
Hexus versus Cho Nation. Winner gets the castle.
Yeah.
You know, like crazy hand-holding nuts shit. It was out of control.
Well, that's what happened with us on Cho with Calpheon, if you care. Like we'd been on Balanos for forever, and the fights were great there. They were so good, and we didn't realize what we had. Right? It's kind of that old The Office quote for out of 550 people that are in here, somebody's got to know this quote. I wish somebody would tell you it's the good old days when you're in the good old days so you can appreciate it more. We didn't realize what we had on Balanos with these great, mostly
Sunny Serendia,
Sunny
man.
Serendia, exactly.
That's what I'm telling you.
Somebody's next to me, Budget Lucari, agreed. You know, and so we're like, we can't wait to get into Calpheon. Then we'll be real. You know, we're on Reddit, and it's like Trap Alliance number 3 strength. If they all place together, we're like, we're cool with that. That's fine. Not bad. And then we get to Calpheon, and Vertex axes us down before we can load into our base. And then somebody else axes down Black Rose before they can log into base. And then Hikamori goes, no, we're not doing this. And they just log out. Like, half the guild just logs out. And so we end up losing that second week after Hikamori took the base. We had no idea how god-awful the lag was on castles back then. It was deplorable. It was unplayable. I can't believe you guys suffered it for as long as you could. Because that's why we dipset. Adam was like, there's no way we're going back. We're not going back. I'm like, we have to. We owe them. You took a castle. We have to go back. And he's like, no, my guild will die. They'll implode. And I'm like, I believe you. So,
and that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Tim? That's the difference between us and between them.
Yeah.
Is my people in my guild, they would say every week we get zerged out on Saturday, we be on Sunday, like, we're taking our note, boys. You know, we take our note. And like, hey, you know, like, there'd be a couple people here and there. You know, maybe we should just go try and take Calpheon. You know, hold that for a while. And I go, fuck you. Dropping Media. I was like, fort's already down. You know, we're going back to Media.
Podcast, Tim Allen interviewed by Aftershock GM. So, okay. So I see that you guys are off there for a while, and it just kind of, just my periphery. I just thought, oh, what's going on over here? So I messaged Q's. Because you and I had never talked, and Q's had been friends with Adam at some level or something, and we had talked once before. So I'm like, hey, so I think you need a friend. He's like, no, we're cool. And I'm like, I need a castle. You need a friend. He's like, yeah, well, you know, every time somebody wants to help us, like, they want the castle. And I'm like, look, I can't come this week, but next week, you know, we'll all jump off territory. Nobody will see it coming, and we'll just drop 4 guilds right on Medaya. We take 1 week, we bring 4 guilds, then we pass it back to you. And I said, nobody will build the second week, and you can wipe all of us out 1v4. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't matter if Aftershock has the castle advantage. Please. And he goes, you know what? Let me think about it. 8 hours later, yes. But it has to be this week, and I'm going...
Like, thinking about it, what he said to you is, let me run it up the chain to BekiLL and see what he thinks.
Right, well, he didn't play it quite like that, but... That's fine.
Kuz is the puppet master.
He was the Lyreley Jr., right? He was the Snake Lyreley.
Lyreley was the Kuz Jr.
Oh, sorry.
That boy controlled the media, man.
Yeah, the Victors write the history book. I forgot. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it was you know.
So you guys were like this week.
It was
just
sold to me.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, so my perception was like, we're doing this next week. And then like it was Wednesday or Thursday, which is late to make plans. He goes, this week. It has to be this week. And I'm in a 2-week thing to cut Kyokai out with Good Fight. And Good Fight is supposed to pass me Sunny Serendia. And so this is a big story. There's a big meme. So I brought in Notorious to take my spot, hopefully just because McHands is McHands. And I have no idea what he's going to do when I don't show up on Serendia.
Yeah, McCann's made a handful of very poor political decisions that really killed his guild. And I feel bad for him because he had a good thing going with that guild. He really could have done a lot of work with it. He had a lot of people that looked up to him. But some of the decisions he made, he tried a little too much to be like I don't know what you would call it. He tried to play both sides, right? A little too much, and he wasn't being upfront about the things that was going on, and and the decisions he was making, and so he burned us personally.
He told me he literally pulled off of going to Medaya with you to fight Kyokai and Serendia, but he didn't tell me that until like he was placed and it was done. I didn't care. I didn't care at all.
And that was the week before you guys came.
Yeah, and then I'm like, wait a minute. That's what it was. That's what made me think to message. I'm like, there might be a fucking opportunity here for me to grab a Medaya crown. And so that's interesting. So it came back to me like it has to be this week, and I'm like, well, it's only going to be Aftershock and Hickey, but if you think that's enough. So what was your perception on that? Yeah.
the reason why that came down to you guys that way, at that point, we had heard through the grapevine that FML was dead. It wasn't super out there yet at that point, but just between Proto and his people and whatnot, they weren't planning to play anymore. They were done, right? And so because of that, we knew FML wouldn't be there. At that point, FML was the ringleader. Vertex was the number 2. And so it was just Vertex and those smaller guys, right? And in that same week, I think it was on like the Monday, we had actually done a node war against Cho Nation. And all my people remember it. None of them forget it. A lot of the Cho guys probably still remember it, but it was on the Balanos region, and we had ran the world tour on them. We left them alive for probably a little over an hour, and we literally just ran a circle around their base, killing every single person that spawned. Literally, we did not leave. We just killed every single person. They could not respawn and group up. They couldn't do anything. We just ran a circle around them and just constantly killed them to the point to where it was so demoralizing that not to say that is why they didn't show up, but I mean, they readily admitted the fact that was an embarrassment, and they got crushed in that node war, and so it was.
Well, I think we were all sweating bullets there when it came to that siege, because Vertex was kind of the unknown, right? And so Vertex took that. Let me pull up my map real quick. There's a
Vertex
spot.
didn't drop. They went to Balanos.
Yeah, so Fortune and 2 other guilds. I had like a 5-person alliance at that point. Like I was Trap Alliance was hitting it, and I was trying to bring people into siege and do all that kind of stuff. So they were placed. It was like northeast. It was by Sauce and Garrison Wharf is where they were supposed to place, which I'd have to defer to you. Is likely a pretty shit spot, right?
Yeah.
So they were kind of relegated back there because it was a 12 or 13 guild kind of clusterfuck. And then they decided to go to Balanos, and they still lost. I think they ended up going back to Balanos and like completely rebuilding the guild and stuff like that.
The thing about Vertex at that time, they had just lost about 10 people. Like some of their most powerful core literally left the guild because of the fact that they kept dropping this Zerg to do nothing. The whole guild was built around the idea of getting good fights and having fun, and they were just circle jerking Zerg in a region.
Right.
And so a lot of their core got fed up with it, and they just dropped. They left. They came right to us, and they said, "Hey, we want to be on the other side because you guys are the ones that are going to be getting the good fight, not them." And so we picked all those guys up. I don't think we denied one of them. We picked every single one of them up, and they're I think every single one of them are still in the guild right now, and they still play with us. A lot of them are homies. I think a majority of them are homies at this point, right? They're core now, and it's that all happened because of the fact that Vertex and FML and those guys tried to Zerg us down. We never would have gotten these guys. They would probably still be in Vertex right now.
I want to clarify that I'm not talking shit about Vertex. I mean, this was ages ago, right? This was almost a year ago at this point. So, what Vertex is now is completely different. Yeah, exactly. Not the same guild, not the same leadership.
Saab had just taken leadership of that guild around that time.
Yeah, that was right after they sat on Balanos for 3 weeks, and then they did the change.
And so they had lost a lot of people doing what they were doing. A lot of those guilds lost a lot of people, and so
I still think if Vertex showed up, I don't know if we would have won, right? Because that was Blade Bowquest was there. That was when Exceptional Legion was kind of hitting it. And then that was
when Exceptional Legion was cucks to Hexes.
Yeah,
that was when they were. That was one of the things that killed that guild from Blade Bowquest.
I tell you what, I don't say a lot of positive things about Hikikomori. That was their greatest showing. That week on Medaya was Hikikomori's greatest showing. That was the strongest they have ever been and likely ever will be. That was Adam's best showing, bar none. They cornered Exceptional Legion, and then they applied pressure on other bases as well. And then I think we held off Cho Nation on Honey Badger's base because they were clearing out the smaller allies, the dead drops or whatever, and we stopped them.
And we were going big guy to big guy.
Yep.
And like we knocked out Hexus, right? And then we just kept pushing, and we took out Cho.
We took out Hexus in 10 minutes.
Yeah, well,
that was
like I had said, right? That was the type of thing where it was yeah, so they died faster than we died because what they were doing was not fun, and they were doing it intentionally. What we were doing was not fun either, but we were coming back for what what we felt was justified reasoning, right? We were just trying to take our castle back. They were all there for no reason anyone understood, right? There was no meaningful reason for them to be there, and we'll see pretty much the same type of idea, right? Which is, if their premise was to just kick us off the region to stop our streak, they had done that, like 5 weeks before. So then what were they doing at that point? And, and it's like, what's their strategy here, right? And so I think what happened, my personal opinion, what happened, and I've been friends with Sav. I've talked to Sav even before he was GM, right? We used to hang around and meme in his stream all the time, and like talking to Sav just generally about the things that were going on, about the people he'd lost, about what decisions they were making, right? I think he had just realized that their entire point of their guild was to go have fun and fight people, and be the ones that were fighting, that the disadvantage numbers wise, right? Because that's when they had always been having the most fun. So, I think he realized that if they drop Balanos and they fight like 3 people at once, right, and they have a good chance of winning, which they did. I mean, they were farming people. It was like that was more enjoyable to them, and I don't blame them for it.
Yeah, I went hard on Vertex for a couple weeks there, especially during the Man Up thing with when the podcast came back with Lucari for a little while, because we pulled up like their old website where they're like, we're never going to siege, we're never going to do politics and all that stuff, and that's kind of what Vertex turned into, and it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, we got the meme that's out there with Ark, right, talking about the whole thing about how their guild, they thought they could be better than that, and they thought that these people represent the same thing they try to represent, right? That meme will never go away, because every time they drop with a bunch of people and try to take you down with a Zerg, they're going against exactly what their core believes in.
Well, right? I mean, they went on Balanos and they have a new leader, and it's Sav, and it's definitely been a different direction. Sav I talked to him a couple days ago. He messaged me. And Sav and I are not friends. That was made pretty clear. I like Sav. I respect him. But I guess the memes about winners actually running the guild and all that kind of stuff kind of got to him. And that's fine. I'm not. I respect Vertex for coming on to the podcast while I'm running it. Hopefully the whole Cacao game's watching it kind of thing pulls them to it or whatever it is. Maybe it's just fun for winners. I think winners likes abuse a little bit at some level. Our private conversations are much different than our public ones. But I do want to correct myself, chat. Deathfan said that Hickey holding down Black Rose in that first week of Calpheon was equally as impressive. So I'll give him that as well too. So we come in, and I guess you had gotten some offers to hold that down, but they wanted some sort of large stake in Medaya. But man, that was the quickest like one night stand I've ever had in my life. That was the cleanest deal I have ever done.
We didn't even know each other.
No, we did. Yeah, like we met at a bar. It wasn't even a bar. It was like last call, right? Like who else could put Snake back on Medaya?
Yeah, and I remember too, because when Kuz was when he was presenting it to me, kind of just telling me the plan. I mean, he talked you up. He said he trusts you. You're not the type of person that bullshit. You're not gonna lie about anything. He said, you guys want the castle for the week or whatever. And I told him, I said, I don't want to give the castle up. Like, I want us to take our castle back, right?
Yeah.
But, kind of where we were at there, the way he had sold it, he had said that you guys are doing this just for fun. Like, you just want to be there for the fight, right? You want to have a brawl. And basically, he convinced me to give the castle up for that week in the sense that, we get to actually have a real fight. We might actually get to fight people instead of just letting them run us down, right? And I said, all right, well, fuck it, let's do it. Whatever, we'll lose it for the week. It is what it is,
I pissed all over that toilet seat in the throne room, and I didn't wipe it up. So I hope you have the cleaning service back in there. We partied.
I'll let you know next time I get it back, dude. I haven't had that bad boy in a while now. I've been homeless. If you didn't notice, if you didn't see my blacksmith costume,
well,
I'm homeless enough.
I'm free for the week. Just saying. We'll get to this week here soon. I want to get to. Oh shit, man, where the fuck are we? So you get back on
second time around.
Yeah. So now we're at the recent events. We're at Man Up versus Vertex, right? And so I shed the Trap Alliance, and I'm not talking about myself in my own podcast thing, but it's relevant. I'm relevant in the Siege scene. Get the fuck over it. I shed the Trap Alliance. Everybody thinks I'm quitting Siege, but I put out there that we're a Merc Siege Guild. And I think one of the only people that actually read that was Lyrelay. Everybody else was like, Aftershock's dying, they're never gonna Siege again. And I still get repercussions of that message that I sent out. Nobody read it. They just went, look, Aftershock's dying, Wallet's X. I believe it. But 10 minutes after, Lyrelay goes, dibs. And I'm like, yeah? Is this how I get, I don't have Calpheon, but like I'm about Valencia. Like I'm trying to get that crown, right? He's like, yeah, we'll do it. But they were still sitting. They knew they were gonna get zerged out this week. So this whole shit show happens, and you're just sitting there. Are you worried? Are you still putting dead drops down? Or can you get a dead drop?
I'm sure you understand that I was deeply involved with every single thing going on during these times, right?
No, I didn't know that at all. I assume Lyrelay was hitting you up. So that's the second part of this question: is the press? Did you receive pressure to get involved or any sort of threats?
I had multiple different conversations with them, right? I would say none of the Man-Up people, because once again, coming back, Man-Up and Gravity were not the same people, right? Man-Up people, they're like us, like they're like Snake, right? They're just a group of buds. They're hanging out, right? Pretty much every single person we invited to this guild when Man-Up died were the Man-Up people, right? And so the Gravity people, though, on the other end, they were the leadership. They were like the shadow leadership, right? And those guys, they struck conversations up with me all the time, and I mean, I talked to them too. We talked about the general thing of what's happening, right? We talked about how if they get kicked out, they're gonna come after us next. Like I knew it was gonna happen, right? I acknowledged it was inevitability, right? I even told Sob, I told Sob directly. I said, I know you guys are coming after us after you guys are done with them, right? I understand that. That's it's fine. It's gonna happen. It is what it is, right? In our conversations that I had with the Gravity guys, I specifically told them not to do what they did, right? I told them that they need to have some pride in their shit, right? They can't.
I think that's the epitaph, right? So many people told them. So many people told them.
Yeah, they need to have some pride, right?
Yeah.
It's not about being the strongest, right? Once again, I'll say it again, right? We just kind of fell into this shit, right? My guild, I never cared about being strongest, right? I didn't care about any of that shit. We got something we liked, we held the castle, and we planned to hold it, right? That's all it was, right? And so I told them they need to have that same type of thought process, right? You can't just give your castle up when someone takes it, right? You need to have some pride in your shit, right? Don't just go try and cuck a bunch of other people and piss every single person off. Like, if you piss off the entire server, you're not going to win. You will not beat that. Like, it's obvious. Even before these patches, even before the Renown, before all this, right? If you piss off enough people, they will destroy you. Like, nobody is stronger than the entire server. It's impossible, right? And so...
Right, and that's the conversation I've been, Richter has been in streams, and he's been trying to get, involved with politics and stuff, and we'll get to the KR changes that are apparently coming for us, but I feel like we've done, and the community does kind of it's sandbox. This is, at the end of the day, this is pretty sandbox. It's self-policing. And, zergs happen. Like, you get 30 weeks, and then you get kicked the fuck off, and then you got to figure out how to get back on, right? That's okay. I think we've all kind of accepted that.
Yep.
Manup did some crazy stuff, and they thought that they could do that and this, and Renown changes are coming, and that's going to, make them even stronger, and it did. But, we told them, they told us, all that kind of stuff. I want to know, because I pushed for our alliance to hit Snake. I wanted to zerg you guys off because I thought that was the only way we could get you involved, and you were the linchpin. Once Hikamori died, once Hybrid dismantled the guild 2 days after they took the territory, it was very clear that if we can't woo you into helping us, then we had to go take you off the territory.
Yeah, and I had a bunch of conversations with them about that, and Lirelai, in so many words, basically told me that you guys would come and you would try to kick us out. And I told him directly. I said, as of right now, we're the only friends you have. And we're the only friends you have because we're not helping destroy you. So if you think that coming after me is going to get me to help you, you're out of your goddamn mind. If you come after me, I'm going to go fuck you up even worse. like I'm going to come right back at you guys. I don't play that bullshit anymore. Like I made that mistake once. I let those guys kick me out of Media and turn me to go attack Valencia. And that shit, my guys hated that shit. I hated that shit. Nobody had fun. It was stupid. There's no fun in doing that. Why would I ever let someone else control the decision of my guild? Why would I let them kick me out of a region and get me to go help them do something else, right? Like, I'm looking after myself and my guild. I'm not looking to go kick someone out of a region because they've been there for too long. I couldn't give a shit how long someone's been on a region. I'm looking to see how long I can be on a region.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
if you got kicked off, you just would have come right after Man Up.
100%. And I told him that. I told him that directly. I said, if you come after me, I ain't coming on your side. Like I'm on your side right now by not helping destroy you. Because the thing about gravity, it goes all the way back to pre-merger, right?
Yeah, I know that now. Yeah.
Works, right? The thing about the way they work is they're not out there to be your friend in almost every single instance, right? They're the type of people that they will try their best to have their people attack you, and they'll be like, "Oh no, we had nothing to do with that. What the hell are you talking about, man? Shit, that wasn't us." But now that you're out of the region, you want to come help us out? So.
Yeah, I saw the desperation of the situation. You know, I was like, we got to get Snake involved. If we don't get Snake involved, this is over. Like, what are you gonna go to Serendia because you're getting cucked on Calf? Like, what are you gonna? Gonna do?
And I had the same type of conversation. I had these conversations with every single guild, right? I had the same conversation with Black Rose people. I had the same with Vertex people. You know, I had the same conversation with all of them, right? And I told them the same thing. I said,
"This is mafia shit, 100%.
I'm looking after me. I'm looking after my people. If you guys come kick me out of Media before you're done with Valencia, then I am gonna go work with Manup. I'm gonna help them because now you just made me your enemy, right?
Yeah.
And so it has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that I couldn't give a shit that they're messing with Manup, right? The only thing, and like I said before, the only thing that I knew for a fact was that after they killed Manup, if Manup died, and personally I didn't think Manup would die. To me,
I didn't either.
I thought that they would be capable of holding off. I thought that they would be able to handle it, but they just kept making poor decision after poor decision after poor decision after poor decision. They kept making bad choices that killed their guild, right? It was not Manup, it was Gravity that did it. Once again, I'll say it again, it was Gravity that did it. But at the end of the day, I didn't think they would actually die. I thought that they would eventually land somewhere, maybe not take Valencia back. But I figured at some point that Zerg was going to come kick us out of Media, and we were probably going to have to work with Manup, right? But the Vertex and that alliance was intelligent enough to realize that coming after us while they're still working on Manup would have been too much to chew, right? It would have bit off too much. And Gravity, in the history of this game, has been the only guild that has made the mistake of biting off more than they could chew. So
yeah, and I was in the Manup Discord, like I said previously, and Huntler, I don't know if I've told this story before, but everybody was pretty upset because I guess it had just gotten out that I was going to get paid Calpheon, and I was, suffering the memes of being a Manup dick rider, and how long am I going to slurp them, for territories and castles and stuff like that. And basically, we were the only people that were throwing down on nodes and getting fights. Like, that was our end of it. It's like, this is content. Like, let's get off Balanos. Let's go get involved. Let's fight people that are stronger than us. Let's get our shit in here. And I remember Huntler talking to just whoever was in Discord, and he's going, "We're gonna 1vx. After this, we have to pay Aftershock." And they're like, "Why the fuck do we have to pay Aftershock?" And I'm like, "This is awkward because I'm in this channel." But they're like, "Fuck Aftershock. Let's just go 1vx." So there was a pretty big divide there that I saw, just to throw that out there.
Yeah.
And Huntler's like, "We're talking about it. We're pretty sure we're gonna go back to 1vx, and we're just gonna camp out on Valencia." And I'm going, "Okay, well, I thought we were gonna get Calpheon."
Yep. It was too late. It was too late at that point.
Yeah,
that was what I tried to tell them to do from the beginning. I said, you need to just go try and 1vx, man. Like, they didn't seem to understand the fact that nobody's having fun doing this.
Right.
Nobody's having fun. Just because you're not having fun doesn't mean they're having a good time. Nobody's having fun.
We pulled out a week before it was dead. We're like, we're gonna low key just head back to Belnos because this sucks. This sucks. Thank you for Calpheon. Not thank you. We fucking earned the shit out of that. Last man standing. Me and Ascendants, me and Fresh, we're just gonna go back over there and just run Calpheon for a long time. So bye. And they're like, yeah, we get it. It's fine. You know. And then the next week they're like, nah, we're done. So that was interesting. So you saw this coming, and you're a big part of it. But by being a big part of it, you just threatened both sides. You're just like, yeah, if you come after me, I'm gonna be on that side. And then the other side came to you and be like, yeah, if you come after me, I'm going to that side. And so everyone's like, holy
that's
fuck.
pretty much what happened, right?
Yeah, well,
but
we don't want to piss off Snake.
The thing about
30% witches.
The thing about it, the reality of it, was that when we got kicked off originally, on that 34-week lead, when we got kicked off on that guy, we did the same shit they tried to do, except for obviously we made the correct decision of going back to media, right? But we did the same type of thing. We kind of reached out to them like, hey, is there any way you guys can maybe help us, right? Is there anything you can do to try and help us have a better position here with what we're trying to do? And they're like, we'd love to help you guys out, but we don't really see a lot of options to do that here while we're sitting on Valencia. And it's like, are you sure there's nothing you can do? You can't just like drop into your node guild and like drop over there and help us? Nobody's even dropping on your region, right? You can't do any of that.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, when they get kicked out, they ask us the same shit. And I say, hey, look, I don't want to be the bad guy here, but I don't know if I can drop over there on my node guild and help you guys out, guys. Sorry. I don't think it works from what you guys are telling me.
Good for you.
That, right?
Yeah. Well, now that I understand what happened, back on Edan, it makes sense, right? So you have most of us in the New World Order, or the Old World Order, as it may be. It's been so much time. We don't see a difference between Gravity and Man Up. It doesn't matter. I've never seen it. It's just been Man Up. And so for you to have that distinction, between the two guilds, the people that didn't come from your server certainly don't. And I had no idea, about the alliance that was there and splitting off from that and coming back to it and kind of the salt back and forth and stuff. So I've been an outsider looking in, and I'm like, there's some sort of tension between Snake and Man Up, and I can't quite put my finger on what the fuck it is. And that's why when somebody's like, hey, I'll give you a sub if you interview BekiLL, and I'm like, shit, that'd be great, because I just don't know anything about what's been going on. And it's like, you want to talk about the two, I don't want to call you guys puppet masters, but when you're sitting on a territory for so long, you're not doing very much publicly. It's all in Discord. That game for 30 weeks is Discord.
I mean,
that's how you do some node wars, right?
That's how I can successfully play this game, right?
Yeah.
While working, 50 to 60 hours a week, because if I need to talk to somebody, if I need to play BDO, right, I go to the bathroom, take a shit for about 15 minutes, and pull my phone out, right? And all of a sudden, I'm playing BDO, right? With my phone out, we're like, hey, what you been thinking about for this weekend? I know you guys are thinking about doing this, blah blah blah, stupid shit. Right?
Okay, so let's talk about the changes that were announced this week. It's not completely confirmed, but obviously the KR changes are coming to us, right? All but completely confirmed. That's what's happening. I have my own opinion about it and what the siege scene is going to look like. Love to hear what you think about it.
I think it's great.
Why is that? Expand upon it.
I think the fact that, I feel like I've already been preaching to this point. Guilds need to learn to look after themselves. Look after themselves, look after their people, right? When you tag team with a whole lot of people like this, when you group up in this large pack, this Zerg mentality, every single time you add a guild, you're cutting your guild out by that equivalent portion, right? So you split one into two, you cut yourself in half, right? You split two into three, right? You guys just lost another week. You split 3 into 4, you lost another week, right? And all of a sudden you get to this point where, and this comes all the way back to Sunny Serendia, when I was telling you about how we were making as much money as these people on these castles, right? Because back then everyone was rotating. There'd be 4 guilds in an alliance, and they're just rotating the castle over each other.
Right.
And we're sitting on Serendia on a 6-week, no tax, region getting, I mean, back then it was nothing, right? It was like 9 billion, right? Out of the whole thing.
Right.
We're getting like 9 billion silver. And it's like, holy fuck, this is insane. We're making so much money right now. These guys pull a first week media out, right? They're getting like 7 or something, right? And it's like this is nuts. We're getting so much money. Like, holy shit. You know, like that set the whole tone for this entire guild. It's like I'm not looking to rotate a castle with 4 different people. Right? I want that to disappear. I want everyone else to act the same way, right? I want everyone else to think to themselves, I want to take Calpheon. I want to sit in Calpheon for as long as I can. If that means I need to pay some people to drop with me on like a T3 or something, you know, or a T2, pay some people some notes, get a friend that'll come help me, right? I could get them to come and help me, but they're helping me. I'm not going to give them that castle. That's my castle. I'm taking that, right? They're working with me to help me, but that's it, right? And so it's like when you do that type of mentality, the guilds you don't pull things like this Vertex, Black Rose, Hexus Alliance, right? You don't get guilds like that. That doesn't work. You end up getting these deep in the gutters, you know, these guilds are like 30 people, right? They're just a couple of buddies hanging out, right? You pick up a guild, you'll get like BDO Navy, right? They're coming to your siege zone, man. And I'll be honest, man, BDO Navy is our #1 ally right now. And you know what they do? They don't even drop on the damn region. They just join the siege as militia, get in boats, and ride around in the ocean killing everyone. That's all they do. They just kill their boats. I love those people, man. BDO Navy is the strongest ally we have.
Okay, so let me share my perspective a little bit here. So, can I hold Balanos 1v1? It depends on, you know, who guts the... So, when you look at the top, right, Snake is going to be on Medaya. This is my official forecast, if you will. Vertex is... So, the Vertex Alliance broke up, right? Because there's no reason for it not to. Vertex is going to try and kick out Black Rose on Valencia, as we've all seen that Discord post from Winners. And you're going to go back to Medaya, as you've very boldly stated many times. And then the, you know, ostensibly, or the common knowledge is Cho Nation's probably going to make a play for Calpheon, as they always have, they want, that's kind of where their strength is, etc. So let's say it's all 1v1, that's where these guilds end up. Barcode goes back to Serendia, who's, you know, a strong guild with a, you know, their core has been there forever. And so that kind of displaces, you know, maybe Black Rose and Vexus, and maybe they'll vie for Serendia, possibly Calpheon, probably not. But I think I think Cho, Snake, and Vertex are going to sit very comfortably for a long ass time. And we're going to be looking at, you know, hopefully I get a shot at Balanos, but if Black Rose comes there, I'm done, you know? And that's it. So how many... Yep. I have to dismantle my community. I have to dismantle somebody else's community to put one super guild together to have a shot at fighting Black Rose. Because I talked to Sasha and he goes, yeah, well, you know, we're not so strong because we have a couple people that are still, you know, under soft cap. A couple people
Sasha
is obviously,
is
you know,
lying to you.
Right? No, I know,
Don't
but you know what I mean.
On Sasha.
No,
I'll be honest. If I was to rank Black Rose right now, and we'll see this Saturday what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I personally believe, and I've already said this to Sasha, I personally believe that they have the capacity to actually beat Vertex with that castle advantage. I think they do.
They're playing it right. Yeah.
The reality of that Show Nation Black Rose siege that they had just last Saturday is, while watching it externally, right, it doesn't seem like it's this way, but the reality of that siege is that they shit stomped all over Cho. It wasn't even close.
Their flex team was putting in work on their shit.
At any point, right? And this is the types of things that that some of these guilds probably don't have really kind of fully capitalized on yet, right? Because they haven't been defending castles like this. They haven't experienced this type of stuff. But if Sasha at any point in that time was to set up a summon on Cho, they were dead immediately. Yep. And I'm not talking, you know, 3 hours, right? Or 2.5 hours, I think was when it ended, right? I'm not talking 2 hours in. I'm talking at an hour in. they could literally have just sacked a gate, wiped Cho out, been done with it, right? Because castle advantage is so powerful, right? That and the power doesn't come from the fact that you're at some advantageous position in height or some shit like that. The power comes from the fact that they effectively have to kill your fort 3 times. They have to kill the first gate, the second gate, and your fort. So if you want to, at any point in time, when they get to your gate, you can say, well, I'm going to hit your fort while you're hitting my gate. And then you just go hit their fort, right? So you control the tempo throughout the entire fight, no matter what happens. You always are controlling the tempo. Because at any point in time, if you go offensive, they have to make a conscious decision. Can we kill gate 1, gate 2, and their fort before they kill our
That's
fort?
a good point.
Yeah.
And that's Sasha and I, he's like, you watched it, what'd you think? And I was like, I was surprised that I'm not the guild leader of Black Rose, so he was asking me as an outsider trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, I'm surprised because you were very clearly holding very well, and the only time that they got any sort of progress on the castle was when you left the castle. They are the ones that had to make the progress. Just sit there and farm them. Who cares?
Sasha's dumbass didn't even have summon mats. That was the problem. He told me that shit. I'll make a screenshot of this. He did not have summon mats. Because I asked him, I said, Sasha, why didn't you just summon on Cho when they push it on your second gate? You cannot even summon out of a castle zone. If you're in a castle zone and you try to take a summon, it fails.
Yeah.
So the defensive team cannot summon back to defend. Like, they cannot save them, right? And so I was like, why didn't you just summon right on them and just fucking smack them down right when they get to your second gate? He's like, honestly, I just didn't even have the mats. So I said, screw it, let's just farm them. And I was like, what the fuck? Holy shit. It's like an hour and a half in. They could have just summoned and stomped. It would have been over.
Sasha, I know you're new to this, but the Supply Depot sells them. You can get them at the Supply Depot.
Yes.
I forget all the time, and I go back to the Supply Depot. I'm like, well, I'm gonna try and command to gather. Oh, I failed. Okay, but I thought it was brave because obviously this is the strongest iteration of Black Rose we've seen, right? And they were farming Cho Nation. They were legitimately farming it. There's VODs. They were up on that second, third story. Hole was throwing spears.
Do you know why? Do you know why Black Rose is so strong right now and why they're getting good recruits? It's because Black Rose and Sasha in general, right? He's allowing his members to stream these sieges with basically no delay with comms on, right? Yeah. So people get to see Black Rose as a guild. They get to see this guild. I will be honest with you. Watching these sieges, watching Menace, not Menace, watching 00, watching these guys siege, listening to Sasha and comms, right? Listening to what's happening. I want to join Black Rose.
Oh man,
I love them. I literally, I have members in my guild that say, like, I'm talking this week, right? We're attacking Media, and this week my guys are going, hey, dude. Would it be okay if I dropped guild and went to Black Rose to try and help them defend Valencia? And I said, no, we're trying to take Media back. And they're like, man, but I just want to siege with Sasha, man. I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? Like, no.
You know what Zethian's new host notification is? You leave Zethian alone right now. If anybody gets, I'm going to fucking kick you from the guild. I'm so upset that he didn't say something about Tim Allen. I'm like, fuck, I need a new hosting so bad. Why didn't he say something about me? Maybe it should be Vert going Omega lol about me, but I digress. That's funny. I can't even
exaggerating. My members literally want to join Black Rose. They want to join Black Rose, like unironically, to fight on Valencia against Vertex, just so they can siege with Sasha, just so they can hang out. And just be part of that, just rubbing their nipples while he's yelling at them. Like, that's what they want to do. It scares me because if he's attracting my members to his guild, I can't imagine the type of people he's getting. He's probably getting like very strong people looking to join him because of that. Right?
I can't even trust my guild during like an AOA to not say a homophobic slur. I have no idea. How you can put comms on Twitch.
Oh, there's no way. If you listen to our comms and I'm shot calling these people,
not a chance.
There's no way in hell.
Not a chance.
the type of things I tell him I'm going to do to him, it is not okay. You thought Sasha was bad? I swear to God, it is not okay. Shit, when we were 1v1ing Black Rose, I showed up to that siege about 20, 25 minutes late, right? And when I showed up, the first thing I said, and I'm going to tone it down, obviously, but I basically said, what the fuck are you guys doing? The elephants are just sitting in our base. Why don't you just ride the elephants out and finish this? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, you guys are idiots. And obviously you can take that out to the next level, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell are you guys doing? And there's like, we don't know what to do. we're just containing them here and just fighting. It's like, oh my God, you guys are brain dead.
Yeah, where are they? I'm their leader. I must find them. Yeah, it's funny how you do the same thing almost every single siege, but the second you don't say anything, everyone's like, it's a John Travolta thing. It's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
It's like leading a bunch of 5-year-olds.
We've been regrouping at the same place for 2 hours, but where the fuck am I supposed to go right now?
I'm talking like my backup shot callers, and they shot call all of our nodes because I don't go to any nodes. I don't have like some alt account or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I just don't go to nodes, right? My backup shot callers, they're the type of people that are like, they'll be sitting there and they'll be like, PA's up, boys. Let's go in. We're in here. Let's do it. Everyone get out, get out, get out. It's like, what the fuck is going on? What kind of shot call is that? No directions, nothing. Just like, it's like full Lakari.
We have
big damage on my ping.
we have somebody who's from probably some like richer part of Australia, who is shot calling. He came from Kyokai. He was old school Kyokai. Jackie Felix. He's a Reddit warrior for sure, and he used to talk shit about Aftershock. So I recruited him. And he's been watching a lot of Sasha, shot calling, and he's bringing that to Aftershock. And it's really funny. It's like, because he's got the accent and everything. It's not quite as deep as Sasha's, but he's literally like, they're friends, and they're like training. He's training him to, like, I've got a mini Sasha in my guild, and it's toxic as fuck, man. It's so weird having that in your guild. But that's funny you say stuff like that,
Yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, there's no way they could not stream my comms.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm horrible. I'm talking like, if I said half the things at my real job, what I say in these comms, it's man. I wouldn't only lose my job, man. I'd probably get sued.
So you have to care about the siege scene and the community of BDO as a whole. So I really want to ask you the question again. When it's so easy to see how quickly, if it's a 1v1 situation for castles, that it'll be just completely locked down. And all these guilds that are relevant, competitive, friendly community, we'll have to gut ourselves to be, competitive. Are you really think that's a good move for the game?
I don't believe that's what's going to happen. I think that is the mentality of people that. And there's no
say it. Yeah, it's fine.
Pun on nothing on you, Tim. But
don't worry about that.
Mentality of people that don't believe that they are capable of being strong enough individually to beat people. Right? I'm not saying you guys are going to drop 1v1 and beat us on Media, but I'm saying that you're underestimating your guys' own capabilities. Right? Like I said with Black Rose, right? You think Black Rose is just going to lose to Cho? No. If Black Rose has the option of going to Balanos or Serendia and holding that one and kicking you guys out, they're not going to do that. If I know anything about Sasha is going to go to Calpheon and he's going to 1v1 and challenge Cho to the point to where if his people aren't beating Cho, he's going to make them better. And he's going to get them better and strong enough to where they are beating Cho, right? And I'm hoping that, these other people are kind of doing the same thing, right? I'm hoping that it becomes a natural ladder progression, right? Like, you start out on Balanos or Serendia, right? You're trying to get strong. Your guild is getting strong. You're fighting, right? You take the node, right? You guys were strong enough to take that node, so you get to fight for that region.
Yeah.
You 1v1 for it, and if you win, right, then you move up to the region. You hold it, right? If anyone gets to the point where they're strong enough to kick you out or something like that, right? And by holding the region, you're now pulling in more recruits. You have more value in your guild, and you're getting stronger, right? If something happens to go on, or maybe you decide that you want to take a shot at Calpheon, right? Then you let that region go. You let the next guy kind of up the food chain, and then you start going for Calpheon, right?
I think we're seeing
the natural progression.
I think we're seeing a lot of, you know, in KR, there's a lot of like the meta is kind of these big alliances, and it's, you know, more staged than ever. I don't know if we're going to see that in NA, kind of to your point, but I think my concern is, you know, as Aftershock is like, if somebody just has a couple of bad weeks, like let's say Cho just gets beaten down. I can't 1v1 Cho. Please. Like, we'll be dead in 15 minutes, right? And just because the walls are tall.
How many people thought that Cho was going to get stomped like that versus Black Rose, right? I don't think anyone thought that was going to happen the way it happened. I'll be honest. I don't think when that season started, I was like, holy fuck, Black Rose might win this. And then it started changing. It became, holy shit, Black Rose is stomping. Like, I was like, oh my God, they are way stronger than Cho is right now in this siege. Now, I'm not saying Cho as a whole is weaker than Black Rose at that, but at that point during that siege, with the strategy that Cho was choosing to do, with what they were doing, the position they were in, Black Rose was way stronger than them. They were out of their league. Like it was absurd. They were just getting outclassed. So many of Cho's members seemingly just kind of gave up, right, and just started trying to fight out in the middle of the desert against their flex team. You know, and then once you start doing that stuff, like you're dead. It's over. If you're not objective focused, you're gonna lose.
I would love to know why they built so close. Did they not understand that they would get cannoned? I mean, by the time I got there, I scrimmed for 15 minutes with Ascendants on Balanos, and I got out there to watch the fight, and they're at 50% even. That's cannon fire. And I get out there, you can see the cannons coming down. Why I really want to know why Cho built so close, right? So you want to apply pressure to a castle, but that close was that really?
Yeah, you apply pressure, but you're not close enough that you can get cannon. That's one of the
I think
things
that's
about
why they
Calpheon
lost.
that makes it such a powerful region. Is Calpheon has a very small amount of area that you can drop on where you can't get cannon because Calpheon is so high up. Like you have to drop deep south or deep southeast or deep northeast. That's all you have. If you drop anywhere within like the Ogre Forest over there, anywhere north of the castle, anywhere east, right before the river, like you're screwed. You're gonna get blasted. It's huge disadvantage to anyone dropping to attack Calpheon. But I think people seriously disrespect the different advantages that a lot of these regions have. You know, everyone just looks at Medi and they think of the grinder, right? But people don't think about like Gate 1 on Valencia. Gate 1 on Valencia is insane. That choke is nuts.
Yeah.
You could literally start that siege with the first gate open, effectively say to them, you have 2 hours to get through this choke, right? And that thing's a grinder on its own. Like it's intense. And
well, I think that was put on display pretty well by, you know, a bunch of us were streaming it. And we all saw, it wasn't even that first gate, but that second gate. Just that second or third story, just sitting up there and having enough witches and wizards to be able to cast down or hole throwing spears to really hold that off. By the time, and they were trying to, cower's the wrong word, they were taking refuge within the kind of nooks and crannies where they couldn't get casted down on. But by the time they got there, they had at least half of their force was dead. And they would try to get reses out and they get punished for it. Was one of the most fun fights I've watched in a long ass time.
No, that was a great fight. That's probably gonna be Black Rose's best fight they're ever gonna have. Similar to the meat grinder one we had with the 3-hour long stalemate. You know, that's the type of fight that those guys will probably never forget. Same reason as we're never gonna forget that Media fight. That's the type of thing that you remember.
So you think you're gonna get a fight with these siege changes? You think you're really ever gonna get a fight?
No, I don't think I'm gonna get a fight. I'm not talking about myself though.
Yeah, but why is that good for the game? I think it was good for the game for 3 guilds. They brought what, 4, right? They didn't bring 6, they didn't bring 7, they didn't bring 8. They brought an appropriate force to give you a fight. If those guilds had 10 less people or 1 less guild or something, you would have stayed there pretty easily. So why is it a bad thing that 3 guilds? Because hold on, let me finish. Medaya Castle is its own thing. Snake is its own thing. So you got this combination. You're never going to be able to be 1v1'd off of Medaya. It'll never happen. You will have to make really brain dead, bullshit bad decisions that you've already learned these lessons on from being around for so long, you'll just never make it. You're going to be there forever. Nobody is going to be able to contest that unless they create a new guild that's a super guild that's like, maybe that's the new meta. You just got to drop guild. The new alliance is bringing the best of 30 people, the best 30 people from 5 different guilds to create the super guild so they can build up for weeks and weeks to fight you on Medaya. Is that a meta that's good to break up these communities and create? That's going to create subcultures and toxicities.
I believe in personal guild strength. I believe that if a group of people need to get 3 guilds or 4 guilds or 5 guilds together to kick somebody out of a region, they don't particularly deserve to kick that person out of that region to begin with. Like what are they trying to prove? That all banded together they can stop somebody temporarily? Yeah,
it's a fight though. It's PvP. It's something. You're gonna go back. Everybody knows Snake is gonna go back.
Of course, but you don't need to have a fight just for the sake of having a fight. Have a fight. It's the same exact way you play the actual fight when you're having it, right? It's objective based. You're objective focused, right? Play the fight for the objective, right? If people are dropping on a region just to kick somebody out, what objective is that? What are you doing to better yourself, right? It's I don't know. It's just it doesn't even process in my head. I don't even think that way at all. Not even in the slightest, because
to me it's content. It's just fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's where I come back and say the same thing I said.
Well, you want to say
right?
you want to talk about
this game isn't that fun, Tim. This game naturally, you know what I've been doing for the last 3 weeks? I've been fishing octoboys, man. 24 hours a day. I have not killed a monster in this game in PvE in almost 2 years. I don't do anything. I chop wood. Yeah, I turn in some crates. I fish. Right. That's all I do. I'm hanging out.
You're talking about taking the game too seriously. Don't you think you're taking it too seriously by going, you have to have a guild that's at my strength to be able to 1v1 me? Why can't people just come in, couple different guilds, swoop in, they create this temporary alliance, they knock you out, you get some really good fights, we get to broadcast the drama on Twitch, people understand what's going on, they get to know people better. Look how much content this has created for the community as a whole. I can understand being concerned about yourself, but, to what degree?
I gotta say something real quick. This anime, obviously is misunderstood. My striker, by the way, is still level 60. He's only 5% in.
Oh, Jesus.
And also, need to make sure you understand, that character got from 1 to 60. I leeched all the way, the entire way. This was during that week and a half where the trees down in Kamasilv were bonkers, and their experience was insane. I literally just joined a group with my guild and just leeched all the way to 60. That was exactly how it happened. My striker has under 1,000 skill points.
Oh my god.
He only has the skill points you get from just existing. That's it. The guy has nothing. Thankfully, strikers are so brain dead that you can literally play that character to its maximum potential with 800 skill points.
Okay, well, I think it's mildly hypocritical, if I have to be honest. I'm not trying to be toxic. I just, you wouldn't talk about taking the game too seriously, and then, going, why does it matter to have content? The game's boring. The game's dead. You kind of have to pick something. Do you want the fights?
Oh, don't get the wrong impression. I don't think this game's dead, and I don't particularly think this game is. The game itself is boring. I don't think it's boring. I think playing the game, the physical act of me going out, killing monsters, playing the game, to me is boring. That is boring. But this game, the politics involved with it, the environment involved in this game, the podcasts, all these types of things, that's what makes this game fun. The community I'm with, that's what makes this game fun. Right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to defend here is if you don't get zerged off once every 30 weeks and you just sit for, a year and a half, 52 plus weeks, that is completely void of content. I'm not going to want to talk to you that entire time because nothing's going on. Do you have 1,100 skill points yet, BekiLL? Kind of thing. And that's kind of what I'm kind of concerned about, especially with Xbox.
That's the thing, right? There's always some way to generate content, right? Have you, our guild was on Media for the last 30-something weeks, right? Every single week we were doing stuff. We were dropping in the Node Guild. I mean, shit, there was a stint there. And I don't know if any of the Vertex guys are here, any of the leadership core from Exodus, anyone like that is around. But when we intentionally sat out of guild for a few weeks in a row during this whole man up push that they were doing. We scared the fuck out of them. That in itself to us was extremely enjoyable content, to the point to where before they even realized the nature of the way that rejoining guilds while owning regions and everything like that, and all the rules associated with that,
Right.
they would look at our guild, and there's clips out there probably with Alphonse and them going, everyone needs to attack Media. Snake's not in the main guild. Go to Media quick. And it's like, because he's looking at us and he sees 5 members in Snake, right? And it's like, I mean, like, see what I mean? Like, we're generating content for ourselves. We're having fun playing the game. We don't. I don't know. I don't particularly need to have a fight. Although, once again, like I said, these sieges that we had, these are the most memorable times. These are the best times we had, right? But I don't need that. I don't need that type of content to keep me playing this game. The thing that I enjoy even just experiencing that. I enjoy watching Black Rose and Cho Nation fight on Valencia, right? I think that there really is going to be a lot more fights than people give credit to. I think there's a lot of guilds that are very close in strength, and a lot of things are going to happen, right? I mean, by taking Media, right, we're effectively giving up the #1 region in the entire game in Valencia. So if you think Vertex is just going to snatch that guy up and live there for the rest of their lives, that's probably not going to happen. And shit, if you want to start talking about the whole situation of this 1v1, we have to take that node to even take that region. So I can bet you a lot of money, Tim, that the first week, what's going to happen is they're probably going to run us down mid right on that node, and we're not even going to get to take the region.
I mean, that's a good point.
I think we're probably going to have to take it the next week in the 1v1, but then we're going to have to deal with probably 4 more other idiots on that node trying to take that node so that we can't take the region. See what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of things going on. That node fight before that region fight, that's a very big fight. That's a huge fight. That's a game breaker. I mean, shit. What if we started setting up a situation to where we get some sort of thing set up, right? And this is all spitballing here. Please don't put any tinfoil hats on, people, you crazy people. But what if we drop to our node guild or something, set something up with you guys, right? Where you guys take the node, right? You guys set up to take the node because, 5 weeks later, no one ever drops on our node anymore, right? No one bothers, right?
Right.
We set it up so you guys take our node so that you can be on Media and we have no contest, right? And then we drop on the Valencia, go attack Vertex, take Vertex without Snako, right? Like shit like that, right? That shit's always out there. It's always floating in the air, right? Just like the idea of us at any point in time during the 30 weeks we were there, dropping in the node guild and going to do something. Now, as I've obviously explained here, I don't personally enjoy doing that with my guild. I think that I would rather just maintain a steady flow with the stuff that we're doing. I don't see any reason to go try and bite off the entire world, but it's it's still out there. It's still an option. And like I said, it's just simply by the fact that we sat out of the guild, we put that option out there, and we scared the shit out of a lot of people very seriously just by sitting out of guild. This
is such a fortuitous time for us to talk. I thought, you getting kicked off would, this is going to be great content. And then this patch comes out today. It's like, man, I would love his perspective because it's got to be on the opposite side of the world of me. And holy shit, you're right. Like, I was freaking out today. I'm like, fuck, and my admin team is freaking out. It's like, this is the end of us being relevant. Like, we don't need to be Vertex. We don't need to be Snake. We don't need to be any of these guys. We just want to be relevant. We want to get in on these fights. And what's been really fun for Aftershock is just being, sometimes we're lucky enough to be the deciding factor. And that's kind of been our thing. And we love it. We love it. And now it's like, whoa, fuck. This is a paradigm shift. And I guess that's okay. I don't want to be the guy that's freaking out about Facebook because now there's, a timeline. Remember when that happened? Everyone's like, it's the end of the world. Timeline sucks. And then like a week later, it's like, yeah, that's cool. Kind of like CC changes here, right? It's like, I don't have anything. And everyone's like, yeah, we don't have anything either. And the Berserkers are like, we all quit. but unless you're a Berserker.
And
so
at the same time, too,
that's a really good perspective, man.
I think something that a lot of people aren't noticing, a lot of people, I mean, how many people even knew about the change in Media Castle, right? About the door over on the side, passing the second gate, right?
Yeah.
How many people even knew about that, right?
Yeah.
Nobody. It was really just us because we own the castle, right? But
I caught that patch note. I knew exactly where that door was.
So the developers of this game, right? They obviously recognize Castle Advantage. They understand what it is. They understand how powerful it is, right? So they're very obviously building these castles to be nothing more than just placeholders. Like they're effectively your fort, right? It's built in the way to where it looks cool and it looks fancy, but they're pretty obviously building it to where it's not a huge advantage, to where you're actually just 1v1ing each other, right? And so even if you have a guild who's close in strength, the castle owning guild isn't going to be in such an advantage that they can just stomp you, right? It's going to be at the point where, I mean, for Media, for instance, you don't even have to kill any gate. You can literally just get into Media and go straight to the fort, right? Now, the first gate is a little convoluted in the way to do that, but after 40 minutes, you can just drop the tower and you're straight over the first gate. And then the second gate, you literally just walk through a door and you're there. You don't ever at any point even have to kill a gate. Like, these types of things they're out there and they're adding them to all these different zones. Calpheon, they did the same thing. They added that stairwell in Calpheon on the far left side over there.
Oh yeah.
That lets you right up to that guy, right? That skips almost the entire castle. Like
I tell you what, I'm on my stream right now. I'm showing this bridge. There's an island right before castle. That bridge, there was 2 bridges, right? But that first bridge is such a fucking crazy joke. The Medaya fights that I've been in and the ones that I've watched, like that's where.
And that's the thing, right? Another thing a lot of people probably haven't recognized. Now, I'm sure you probably know, but that bridge, they doubled the width of that thing, like patches back. They took that guy and they were like, wow, this is way too small. And they took it and they just went, blah, and they blew the whole thing out like crazy, right? And the Medaya Castle bridge itself, too, that thing is huge.
Yeah, that's real big. You can just see that on the map. Yeah, so I guess they were watching you and they're just like, oh man, BekiLL needs just nerfs. The game is literally adjusting for you.
It's
how
not
do you feel
us.
about that?
No, it's KR had the same problem. They had people just habitually just grinding on Media, and so I mean, Media obviously has been the biggest target because it was broken. It was absurd. It was insane.
Yeah,
you had no way of getting through that. It was nuts. But I mean, right now Valencia objectively is the strongest castle to hold because that door just kills it. Media, it's horrible, but. And then also the stairwell that takes you up the left roof on Media is nuts. But
yeah, well, even just being able to stand around where the actual node is and having that, just everywhere you go, there's that second tier where you can just cast down on. It's just, that's really oppressive. That's really oppressive.
Yeah. So the thing about it really is that I think the game is changing a lot. And I think what's going to happen, what people are going to find, is that I think the castle is kind of just going to be a little bit of a meme. It's like for show, right? And it's really just going to be a respectable 1v1, right? And if your guild's stronger than their guild, then you're probably going to win, right? And to me, that feels normal. If I'm stronger than if my guild's stronger than your guild, I should probably win, right? I don't personally enjoy the idea of bringing a bunch of people together and running it down mid and taking you out, right? I'm sure you can try and build a little bit even numbers. It's really hard to juggle, but you can get there, right? But the problem with it still then is that you're splitting your guild in half. If you go with 2 people, you're saying you get the castle this week, I get the castle next week. Right. And then you're not even betting yourself because this game is built, the entire system in this game is built to own a region for longer durations. That's why you get taxed 50% of the money when you first take the castle.
Right.
Like they made it so that it's not very beneficial to just take a castle for a week.
But I mean that's kind of my point too, right? Is that you're not fighting Snake. You're fighting Snake allied with Medaya Castle. And that's so I like the changes that they've made because that's not okay. You can't just have that one spot where you cast down and we all just die and there's no counterplay to it. I mean, that's the whole point of PvP is that there's some sort of strategy. People can come around, you can flank, you can do something. You can't just come into it because you won once and instantly be 2 or 3 times stronger than everybody else. That's not fair. That's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not.
And
It's
like
content killing, right?
There's no other reason why they're adding these changes to the castles, right? There's no
It's
other
good,
logical
yeah.
reason why they're doing it. They're doing it intentionally so that they can balance the power out between the castle owner and the non-castle owner, right?
So you
and they
should
also,
have-
to my understanding, they also reverted the patch where if you stalemate the castle, you still lose. Like that's it. The region is not yours anymore, right?
Yeah, and that was a good addition. But you know I think having
you
the
have
castle
to win. You can't just hold out. You can't just castle advantage, right? Like 2 weeks from now, Black Rose versus Cho like that. Since Sasha didn't have his summon mats and he didn't drop that summon and they didn't kill him, they would have lost Valencia, right? And then they have to fight again on the node to try and take it back. And since they were holding it, they had to fight against Cho and Vertex this week, right? And all of a sudden, they're not taking it anymore, right?
The idea of, you being a little stronger because you're in a castle, totally fine. But, up until this point, and still right now, it's at least, maybe a second guild. And Black Rose is stronger than Cho. I can entertain that. I think we all saw that.
I think it's close.
If it was equal, let's call it equal. Let's say Cho placed a little further out so they didn't get cannoned. Maybe it stalemated. Maybe it didn't. Maybe Sasha played it a little differently. Maybe he figured out that you could buy, the mats at the supply depot after playing this game for almost 3 years. It's just interesting, that the castle advantage is still really strong. Maybe more so in Valencia than Badaya,
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that Cho did not lose in sheer power. I think Cho lost objectively. I think that's why they lost. They lost because they, whoever their leadership controlling, their members, they didn't have firm enough control. Their first original pushing at the beginning was good. It was strong. They had good pushes going on, right? But they weren't objective focused on it. They weren't setting themselves up to go all the way, right? Like they would ride their elephants and stop them and start stomping there. Like, just ride that bad boy all the way, man. Ride into that gate and just start slamming into the gate, right?
Yeah.
Because once you take the gate down, they lose advantage. Because the only reason that they get to shoot you from up high is because they have a gate blocking you, right? So if you just suicide those elephants into the gate, you're gonna kill the gate. The gate's health is so low now compared to the damage of the elephant that just by taking your elephants as they respawn and riding them into the gate and hitting the gate, you're gonna kill the gate. Like, it's over. That's it. So if they decide to roll the gate up, then you get positioned and you just push right through the gate into the gold room, right? There's a lot of things like that. I personally think that second gate in Valencia is extremely weak. I think that spot where you shoot off of those balconies, I think that's a very weak positioning. If I was in Black Rose's position there, I would have just stayed at the first gate because that choke is way stronger. But it's obviously a risk because if you wipe there, then they get to push straight for the second gate freely, right? But I don't think Black Rose would have wiped. I think they would have just.
From what we saw, them coming up that S curve or that C curve right into that balcony where they were casting down, they had to hide under, the balcony just to regroup. And by the time they got hit by not one, but so half their force was out there picking Cho off, and they were trying to res them, and those people would get picked off. The reinforcements would come in. Sometimes they get 10 or 15 more. Then they get like a full push in on that second gate. But Sasha and the boys were ready, and they were casting down, and they just didn't stand a chance. So I agree with you that first gate is toxic. But man, Black Rose made that second gate look impossible. They made it look impossible.
And like I said, I think it comes back to a strategical decision. Like why would they push up the right side when they could go up that left side, up that little wall area? They just go right up that left side, and they're right under the balconies.
Yeah.
Like it walks you right into the door under the balconies, right? And then you're never interacting with them until you get right up to their gate, right? And then, so from there, you're kind of in a good spot. You just wait for your elephants. The elephants ride up, and you just run them into the gate and start slamming the gate. You make pushes on the gate. I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, they had a good fight, but yeah. I just think in general, I think the siege scene is going to be more interesting than you think when the only ones come out. I'm not going to say it's going to be interesting for me. Like I had said, I have pretty good expectations that people are probably going to try and run me down on the node, run my guild down, right? Maybe I'll swap it up, Tim. Maybe I'll drop on the Valencia node. No one will see it coming. There'll be 5 guilds on Media node trying to hold me off, and all of a sudden I'm on Valencia, boys. Surprise! Maybe I'll go take Combacilia. I don't know.
What do I have to do to I need to round off my collection? You mind coming to Valencia with me real quick?
You think our packs?
Come on, man.
I'm not going to Valencia, bro.
Come on, dude. Come on.
This Black Rose Vertex fight is going to be dope as hell.
I know.
And no way in hell am I going to destroy that.
I know. Me neither.
I know there was the slightest flicker in my brain that said, man, I'll probably drop a bunch of people on Valencia and just be a piece of shit.
Yep.
And I realized I'm not a piece of shit. I try to be, but at the end of the day, man, I just want to take Media back, man. I don't care. Let me just have my castle.
I thought the same thing. It's so funny you said that. You've had so little public interaction that when you came on the podcast, and that was a podcast that Vert hosted, so like 1,200 people saw you say it, right? You're just like, I just want my castle back. You know, just the same way you just said it. I just want my castle back. And it's like, does he really? Can we believe this guy? This is the guy that changed his guild icon to man up and fucking command to gathered in the middle of a Valencia siege. Like, how troll is this
saying, right?
dude?
You tell me there's no content, Tim? How can you tell me there's no content? Yeah,
I'm
you
just
fucking
worried.
mind, dude.
You
See
know,
the type of things we do?
I'm just worried, man. I've hitched my wagon to this, both with, you know, streaming and how much I love my guild and playing this game. Like, I really actually love this game, so I'm concerned about it. Why else would I spend, you know, the fucking dissertation of an outline that I sent you to prepare for this? Why else would I do this if I didn't love this game?
Does it throw off those reels real quick?
Benefits me, right? Yeah, exactly. But ultimately, I love this game. It's sandbox enough, but it's, you know, good enough for people to buy it on Steam and figure out what's going on. But I really just love this game, and so I'm just hyper concerned about massive changes like this without. I don't want to say KR is. I don't want to say anything toxic about KR, but I think you could.
We're gonna stomp him, boy.
I think you could throw him. I think you could throw him free money, and they have a protest about it.
I was memeing. Right now on that test server, we are stomping them. And I wouldn't say a little something more derogatory, but we are stomping them. I'm talking like they're trying to come at us with like sorks and weird shit like that, right? They're like, you know, they got sorks and like Maywas and weird things. And we drop in. We're like 15 wizards and 5 warriors, and there's like, what the hell's going on? And it's like, PA, you're dead. PA, you're dead. It's like, I'm trying to fight you with my ranger. This is weird. I don't think they recognize the meta. I don't think they get it, honestly.
I'm gonna stick up for warriors a little bit. If we get PA, we fuck some shit up, man. That's we're no joke. It's the small scale stuff that it's like, why is there a warrior in battle arena right now? But if we stick next to those witches and wizards, we do okay. We do okay. Maybe even rangers. I don't know. But, you know, having a group full of flavor of the month stuff and trying to do large scale, I don't think that's going to pan out.
There's only 2 classes in this game, Tim. There's witch and there's wizard.
Okay,
that's it.
I know who I'm talking about.
The only reason I'm a striker and I can get away with this is because I'm the GM of this guild and I can do whatever I want. Just like when I was a ranger. I can do whatever I want. They can't stop me.
Striker's in a really bad spot. You're right. I apologize.
Striker is actually honestly probably number 3 right now.
Yeah, 100%.
I think people are sleeping on it, but that's just me, boys.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'm crazy. But at the end of the day, if you go into a siege and I'm on my striker and I try to jump into a group of people and I don't have PA, I'm dead instantly, just like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
It doesn't matter what I have. That's it. If you don't have PA, you die. That's the way the game works. And one day they'll fix that. You know, crossing my fingers, one day they'll fix it. All they have to do is just remove the ability from the game, and this whole game will be so much better. But, you know, until then, every single person in my guild has a witch or wizard ult, and they log into that guy every Saturday, and we siege with it. And that's it, right?
I was going to ask that. That's true, huh?
We play real characters.
Yeah, wow. Good for you.
You have to, right? The first time we got kicked out of that castle in that stalemate, every single person that wasn't a witch or wizard, I didn't have to tell them to do it. They thought to themselves, looking at that scoreboard, like I had a ranger, it was like 4 and 75. And it's like, wow, I am worthless. And I said, yeah, you are worthless. You are. Do something about it.
Nice.
And so majority of those guys re-rolled. I mean, they all did it on their own pretty much. And then the second time we get kicked out, more people re-rolled. Third time we got kicked out, we just got kicked out. Like 5 more people re-rolled to witches and wizards.
Max's witch is level 56. That's what chat says.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, people realize the reality of the situation. You know,
Yeah.
like, and I tell them honestly. I say, I don't care if you never play that character except for 3 hours on Saturday. That's it. I said you can never touch that character. You just sit on him. He's got all your accessories, tet weapons. You don't gotta do shit. You know. I would love if you reroll your pen to it. That'd be great. Play with tet weapons on your other little random dude that you love. You know, play with tet weapons on your Sork and have a blast. You know, go play your lawn. But at the end of the day, when siege starts, you know, and when I track what your gear is, right, like on our spreadsheet, and we're keeping tabs of what type of gear people have, I don't care what gear your lawn has. I need to see what gear your witch and wizard has. That's just the way it works.
Somebody gift Vert a weapon reroll kit to coupon. That's toxic. You can't. He's Darth Vader, man. He can't play a witch or wizard. He's Darth Vader. He's gonna do what he does. Dude, 3 hours. I think we hit it all. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Do you have anything you want to bring up or just say to the Twitch/YouTube world?
No, not really. I mean, I'm down to do a little bit of Q&A probably. I think just one last thing. You know, obviously you see people like Bert, you see people like Mac, right? A lot of them not playing witches and wizards seriously, right? And so it's there's a certain line, right, where some people are allowed to get away with it. It is allowed at different points, right? And I say allowed, right, like I'm forcing them.
Okay, no, I'm never joining Snake. Allowed? Jesus, I have enough daddies in my life.
Yeah, but the reality of it is that, you know, if somebody's just naturally a really good player, and even if they're on like a shit class, if they're a really good player and they actually have really good gear, then it's okay, right? For the most part. A majority of those people that are like that, they re-roll on their own choice, because most of those people tend to be people that are extremely try hard, right? Like they want to be the strongest. And when you get into these sieges and you're fighting 100 versus 400, you find out very quickly that your Meiwa is worthless, right? Like, no dig on you, Bert. I'm sorry.
Ooh, damn. So, somebody asked, since we're doing a little Q&A, what's the actual requirements for Snake right now? If somebody wanted to join Snake, how would you have to take them in? What would they have to have for you to take them in?
I always typically force recruitment to be at least the average gear score, at least the average AP of our guild, and you have to be a witch or wizard. That's pretty much the baseline. Average AP, witch or wizard. If you're a friend of a friend, or if you have a really good, what's the word for it? If people are speaking up for you and they really want you to join, and once again, you have pretty good gear, then obviously there's like a little scale there. There's a balance, right? Where your gear can be a little worse, but you could be someone's really good friend, right? Or your gear can be really good, and you could, you know, be a Valkyrie or something, right? If you have 275 AP and you're a Valkyrie, then maybe we'll think about it, right? But
so how the fuck did Huntler get in? Who the fuck stuck up for him?
Hunter and I are friends, man. I like Hunter.
Fucking with you.
We're buds, dude.
I love Huntler.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like at the end of the day, right? I mean, the average AP of this guild is it's higher right now than what, to me, it's unbelievable when I look at it, right? Like I literally just pulled my sheet up to look at it right now, because I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, next question he's probably going to ask is, what is your average AP? And
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
yeah, I can tell you right now, it's pretty clear cut. Our average AP right now is a little over 3 TED accessories. So in order to apply to this guild seriously, as like a witch or wizard, you need to have at least somewhere around 264 AP.
Holy shit! As a witch or wizard.
Yeah. So our guild right now, if I'm to sort this guild by our highest geared people, right? And people know people like you know, Vert, right? Mac, right? Huntler, right? People know them. They know their gear, right? And I mean, those guys are up there, right? They're top tier. But there's a lot of people that people don't know, right? And so the reality of it, right, is Huntler, for instance, like he's barely breaching top 20, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, you know, it's yeah. The perception I think that people have is that the streamers are the end all be all, right? They're kind of like these super geared mega monsters, right? Getting carried by streamer donations.
Yeah. That's not.
You know, but,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got people out there like Nail, right?
Yeah.
Like, once again, we spoke about Nail. I'll tell you right now, that guy has a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Giannis is not fake uniform, and Giannis are not carrying my guild. They're great guild members. They're awesome people, quick friends, and it's not because, you know, I'm new to streaming and I'm trying to buddy up with them. They're just good people, right? But like Giannis isn't soft cap. But I couldn't imagine not having him in my guild. Like, that has been one of the best things that has happened to Aftershock. He comes in and he just brightens the room up. He's just a good dude. I think that's why I like Striker, or that's why I like Strikers. That's why I like streamers.
And, I just want to say,
yeah.
Menace, please hit me up in the DMs. Thank you.
Yeah, well, he's
also,
not. He's a Sork, and he has 245 AP.
And also, Menace, please re-roll to Witch. Wizard is not that great anymore, sorry.
So my guild's average is right about 240 AP. just as a frame of reference.
That's respectable, man.
I'm pretty
That's
proud of
so
that.
good.
I'm not ashamed of that at all.
How's it feel to be top of the barrel right now, dude? You're the GM of the guild, man. You looking down on these peasants with your pen armor.
Yeah, that was right about to say. So how do you feel about soft cap warriors with pen Gaiath?
I mean, we're basically equivalent right now, dude. You have a pen Gaiath. I mean, I have a pen Muskin.
Oh my god, I would much rather have a Gaiath than a Muskin. Get fucked, man.
Yeah.
All right, we had a couple of questions. Let me scroll up a little bit. Ask why Marky Boy got kicked. Is that a real question or something we just
Marky Boy did not get kicked. Marky Boy had to get let go. We had to politely let him go because he made the mistake of literally blowing up every piece of gear he had. I love Marky Boy. Marky Boy is my homie. I paid him money just so that he would keep his pen ogre. And as everyone already sees, it was not a setup. Everyone thought it was a setup. They're like, oh, he's paying him so that he can post it up a week from now so that Gundle can buy it. It's like, no, I gave him the money because he's my boy. And I said, I'm going to give you this money so that you keep your ogre to yourself. That's for you. You deserve that ogre. Just keep that. That's the end of it, man.
Devios wants to know where he is on the list. I assume that means for kills.
No, he's talking about nerd score.
Oh, nerd score. Okay.
Yeah. We use a like a aggregate score in order to calculate how geared somebody is, air quotes. It's we don't use renown or anything like that.
Aggregate. Okay, that's nerdy as fuck. Continue.
Yeah, it's a more intricate system that accounts for other things, you know, like Alkstone quality, right?
Yeah, you don't take this game seriously at all. That's fine.
I don't do this shit, man. My officers do this. I don't gotta do shit.
You just said aggregate. You just said aggregate.
I am the GM of this guild. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, start streaming and see how much you don't pay attention to your guild. Shout out to Aftershock officers. I love you guys. Just point blank. Here's a good question. I don't think we talked about. Who's gonna win, BR or Vertex this week? Assuming that happens as a 1v1.
I think Black Rose has the ability with the current castle advantage that Valencia has. If they play their cards right, they have a very, very wide open opportunity to pull surprises on Vertex, right? Because the nature of it is, if they just don't, and I'm going to talk strategy, and I'm sorry, Sasha, if I give away any sort of plans you had, but to put a header on this, Sasha and I have not talked about any strategy or anything. It's just me speaking from my own personal experience.
Sure.
If Sasha holds his summon, then that forces Vertex to always have to keep back either their GM, right, who's their shot caller, which everyone knows, right?
Yeah, I've been in that position where you have to stay back for the command to gather. Yep.
Or he has to keep back like 20 to 30 people, right?
Yep.
Because at any point in time when they are within the castle region, Sasha's guild can literally escape out of that zone, land in Valencia, accept the summon, and land right on top of Vertex's base. And they could take that bitch out in 30 seconds, and that's it. And that's the reality of it, right? If they don't have the capability of defending that, then they're screwed. And that's one of the big reasons why you have to build close, which is why you were asking before. The thing about cannons is that can only take your fort to 50, and
right.
50 is the same as 100. You're dead anyways, right?
Yep.
If they chop 50 down, you're probably gonna chop 100. But if you're not close enough and you can't get back there, or you can't get resources back in time, like if you build really far away, then you're screwed. You're dead. That's it. Like you're done. You cannot get back fast enough. And so at the end of the day, if he just doesn't even use the summon, Vertex is intelligent enough to recognize that. But because they're intelligent enough to recognize that, and they're going to play intelligently, and they're going to put themselves in a position where they're pushing not with the full offense, and they don't have a choice. They have to do that.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening because of that is, they're getting put in a position where they're fighting 100 Black Rose versus 80 people, right? Or maybe 90 people and no shot caller, except for Vudani, who handles backup, I believe, right? So it's a pretty serious thing. And also at the same time, when Black Rose fought Show Nation, they kind of gave the first gate up. Like that was a mistake. There's no reason why they should have given it up that quickly. And so they're not going to make that same mistake this time around.
Your top killer, I think it was a couple weeks back when you got kicked off the castle, was a striker. Was that Nail?
No, that's JJ. Or as we like to call him, he's a...
Suspense.
Hot boy super Asian.
Okay. Is that normal? Is he normally your top fragger? Somebody was asking who your top fragger is.
He's one of the Manup guys, actually. That was actually the first siege we ever had with him.
Wow.
Yeah, he came as part of the crew with those guys. It was, well, if I count them all right, it was him, Huntler, Mac, Vert, Waco, Zethian, and I'm gonna feel like shit because I'm forgetting people. But
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just let it go. Would you take
Hoy
a 200?
technically came, but Hoy came a little bit earlier, actually before Manup died, and then Instinct, the Ninja, and I think that's all of them. I think that's actually everybody.
How confident are you in your first week in the BSL?
Like first week, or that when we did the original kind of.
I'm just reading the question.
Oh, okay. So if we're talking first week, I haven't looked at who we're fighting. I'm not sure. I haven't paid attention to it, but just by the nature of BSL in general, the first weeks people that get in are typically really good, right? You get like Mac and Vert, right? A lot of those types of guys. And then the third week, by the time you get down to the third week, a lot of the time, it's a lot of the people that were like in last place in the first week. And it's no dig on them, but at the end of the day, most of those people in that first week, they literally couldn't kill me if they wanted to. So it was a little silly, but yeah.
Here's a question I keep getting a couple of times. Do you think Vertex currently has the gear to 1v1 Snake?
No. I don't think they think that either. I think they're I think a lot of this game has evolved to the point to where
Getting a little wind on your microphone if you can.
I think a lot of this guild has evolved into the point to where they used to mistakenly assume power by getting unbalanced fights in different situations. But I think nowadays a lot of these guys have realized that, you know, if they beat us on the node while we're in El Snako, right? The reality of it is that they're fighting us with the guild where we have no GM, no elephants, and there's about 70 people, right? So it's you know, it's not really the same situation. So when we fight them, when we have been fighting them or had been in the last few weeks on the regions, right? Like last weekend, for instance, right? They had one push on us where they actually had the advantageous kind of position where they ended up effectively wiping us out, right? And that consisted of a very silly strategy that existed with them running away for about 30 seconds straight away from us as we're trying to chase after them, while the other guilds came into our fort and started beating on our base. And then by the time we chased them for about 30 seconds or more, they just turned around and started picking us off. That was pretty great. But outside of that first week when they originally kicked us out, I mean, we had pushes back to back to back against them and Show, where we were just wiping them one after another, and so it was yeah. But that was also because of the fact that we won Black Rose before that. We got all this warm up, which is a little weird because we were super rusty, and so by the time we flipped into the actual fight, we had already gotten a handful of fights, and they fought us on Node too, give us more practice.
Yeah.
It was pretty nice of them, to be honest. I was surprised because obviously the best strategy would just come at us blank when we never had any fights at all in weeks, and we're super rusty.
So Sav is in chat right now, and he answered the question saying that you guys have at least a solid 10 AP over them, right? And so obviously you guys have had some experience between that. And then there's another question, how would you do against enemy? Do you have any sort of frame of reference for enemy EU?
I can tell you the problem with EU is that they're super underpopulated. So
yeah,
it's a weird situation for them because a lot of those guilds are kind of in this power vacuum where they barely even seem to have enough people to even fight on their regions. Like it's a little crazy, but I mean, to be able to just go to like different regions with their guild and like, yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I really want to. I'm going to reach out to. I think tomorrow I'm going to reach out to D Jules and ask if we can talk about, maybe one of these podcasts or what the fuck's going on with EU. Like explain EU to NA because I think a lot of people want to know about that. Yeah. I'd love to know, especially with this whole thing we've got going on now. It's being asked.
I mean, our guild is so like kind of refined, right? And just the class options that we have and the way that the guild is kind of formed to this point that it would. I'd be hard pressed to imagine that a guild like Enemy or something that doesn't have that type of kind of refined comp would have that a very good advantage, right? Because it really is a game of PAs, right? Like one of the biggest transitions we made that increased our success was when we converted from a 2 PA rotation to a 3 PA rotation, right? Because most people out there probably, I would say the bottom tier of the guilds, right? I'm probably giving away too much here, but the bottom tier of the guilds, right? They're probably popping 1 PA. They go, PA's up, guys, go in, right?
Oh,
So we have an
I
entire.
hope not.
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised. And I'm pretty sure that Vertex has 3 also. I'm not 100%. Sure, Sav would probably tell me, but I haven't bothered asking. He might say it in chat if he's a nice guy. But the thing about the rotations is that if you time them well enough and you're using them correctly and you have enough witches and wizards, which is kind of the key factor, right? You need to have like something like 60 to be able to do effectively like a 3 PA rotation. But when you go in there and they're lasting 16 seconds and you're lasting 24 seconds, you're gonna win. Like that's just the end of it, right? You're not gonna lose that push, right?
So I want to talk to Savin here for a second. He goes, I'm 0 for 10 for the past charge stomp elephants for the past month. I want to talk to Sav for a second because him and I had an exchange that was a little tense earlier. I really like kind of what they're doing. They put this whole big thing together, and they're kind of peeling it back a little bit, and they're putting out these 1v1s. Cho Nation against Black Rose, and Winners put out that kind of what it is now famous thing where it's like, now we're gonna head for Black Rose because we think we have to go handle that stuff like that. I think what Vertex is doing is content. I really think it's content and spreading it around a little bit. And you guys have got the strongest guilds, and it's a little advantageous. The timing is advantageous, but that's okay. You're allowed to win at this game. Success is not something that
somebody
you should
has
look
to
down
be the winner,
at.
right?
Yeah, somebody has to be the winner.
I'm sorry to everybody that it's us.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be a winner. If we weren't here, Vertex would be the winner, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else would be winning, right? It wouldn't change.
Vertex won 100%. I feel like Sov.
I mean, they're the number 1 guild now, right? Well, not yet. Sorry, they're the number 1 guild if they take Valencia, right? They're gonna be sitting high and mighty up there, living the dream. And yes, Hoy was the spy.
I was right about to ask you that. Okay, Hoy was the spy. There you go. But that's I have a little bit of a platform here. So Sav, we're having a private conversation. I have a lot of respect for how you're doing it. And the Saturday podcast is filled with memes and Winners and I yelling at each other. But I like what you're doing. And now that there's this paradigm shift and we're getting these KR updates in season 5 or whatever the fuck you want to call it. After talking to you, BekiLL, I think I'm a little more excited. I don't want to say I'm excited about it. I'm a little less panicked as kind of a B or C class Siege Guild, whatever you want to, if there's S, I'm A. If there's S and A, I'm B. If there's A and B, I'm C. Whatever. As that kind of tier Siege Guild, I'm a little more comforted that, maybe this will be okay. And there's ways to work around it where you can still have friends and all that kind of stuff. Because point blank, you're just going 1v1 on Siege forever. You're going to pick 5 guilds and that'll be it, so.
Yeah, I really don't think that's what's going to happen.
I hope not.
Once again, I'm not denying the fact that we're probably going to end up sitting there, right? And I would push, plausibly Vertex might end up sitting there, right? I wouldn't put it past them to come and attack us, at least once or twice, more if they're successful, right? To at least take a crack at it, but because they really are the type of people that would, but maybe even Black Rose too. I don't know. They kind of did it already, right? But at the end of the day, it could potentially end up being 2 regions, right? Which it's always been. That's never going to change. That's always been like that, right?
Yeah.
The game does not have enough guilds that want to participate to have these regions open up and be usable, right? The siege scene, which is this crazy thing, right? That blows my mind with this whole kicking Manup out thing, kicking us out thing, right? The siege scene was the most active when we sat in Media and they sat in Valencia, because everybody had to brawl for the other 3 regions. Yeah. So there was always people brawling there. People just don't like fighting in general. People don't really like fighting in this game.
The conversation I had with Winners, because him and I were on, we were working on the same thing for a little while, was, the fights that are happening on Balanos or Serendia should probably actually be happening on Calpheon. And there should be some sort of fight on Medaya, maybe Valencia, depending on the situation. And then these guilds that would be my B tier, if you will, allies that maybe got that territory once after, you know, building with me for a month. Those are the guys that should be fighting on Balanos. And so what Vertex brought to me was actually really appealing because I like that idea. If a bunch of guilds get together like they were supposed to, was it last week or the week before? I think it was last week. There was like 4 or 5 guilds that were supposed to just drop on Balanos, and they chickened out. They decided not to do it.
Balanos in its own right is only able to hold like 9 guilds, right? Like it gets locked up real fast. It's a small...
and 9 is the tops, and you have to place it right to get 9.
Exactly. So if you get that, I mean, compare that to placing right on Valencia, right? You can get like 30 guilds. You know, it's the regions are built like these. Once again, I'm gonna say this again. People probably don't really want to digest this, but the people that make this game are not that stupid. Like, people are so sure that they're dumb, but they're not that stupid. There's a lot of things that they understand about what's going on here. There's a reason why these regions are able to hold as many people as they are. There's a reason why they can do these types of things, right? Because they had these intentions in mind. But, you know, just because we decide to abuse these things to this point, right? Or basically exploiting by taking advantage of all these just small little things that can disenfranchise the siege, right? Like dropping dead drops, right? Things like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm obviously we do it too, right? I mean, shit, we did it when they tried to attack us. You know, we dropped like 8 different castles on there that were all garbage.
I messaged you about having extra dead drops, right? I mean, dead drops are a resource. They're valuable. They're actually valuable, you know. So
exactly,
especially now more than ever, maybe.
But it's an exploitation of the system. I mean, that's the reality of it, right? But at the end of the day, these smaller guilds, they're just not interested. It's like they're not being held back as much as a lot of them just aren't interested. And the only reason they get interested is when somebody, and I'm sorry if this sounds high and mighty, but if somebody like us feeds them a node and asks them to come dead drop for us, basically, right? And then they're on the node. Like we had Dat Boy on Media when we got attacked. We had Dat Boy.
Nothing wrong with Dat Boy. Come on,
That's
man.
what I'm saying. Like Dat Boy was there, right? And I don't know how many people they brought, honestly. Probably about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Right? But that's the thing, right? They drop there, and it's not in a situation to where they would be discouraged really to show up. But they still only bring like 4 or 5 people. Like they have perfect opportunity to just show up and start fighting people, but they don't. Because the reality
I
is
think their cap on people is only like 50, to be honest. I'm a big Dat Boy supports the stream a lot, so I'm pretty close with Dat Boy. So I think their max capacity in their guild right now is like 50 people, but that's fine. They do what they want to do, and it's fun. So my perception of that is a little different because being on Balanos, which is the quote entry-level siege scene, I get a lot of inquiries over the year and a half I've been, you know, that's been Tim Allen's home is kind of the meme of that, right? And there's been a lot of people that they just, and that's why Fresh Ascendants and I are so good of friends, is he built with me forever. He built with everyone forever, and he did it out of humility. And I really want to kind of be on a soapbox for a second. If you want to get into Siege, I have no idea what Season 5, air quotes, is going to hold. But if you want to get into Siege, message somebody that's been there for a long time and learn from them. Come into it from a place of humility. Don't go, I've got 40 people that could, I'm going to tell you 70 people are going to show up and 40 people are going to show up. You're going to make this whole plan around the garbage I'm spewing you, and then I'm going to disappoint you. Give somebody a realistic expectation of what you're going to bring. Don't go, I need a territory next week or the week after. Learn what you're doing first. Be effective. And once you're effective, renegotiate your contract with the person you're working with. Come at it with humility, and you might actually get into the fucking siege scene.
The best, like one of the best actual alliances we had, right? Like kind of alliance, right? Was when we set up a deal just right at the beginning, right? And we just said, hey, you know, you guys can have it, right? You get it the first time around, you know, then you can have it. Then we'll take it for like 4 weeks, and then we'll give it back to you guys once, right? And then we'll take it for like 4 weeks, and then we'll give it back to you guys, right? Yeah. And so, you know, that's the type of thing. You set a little deal up, right? And then, you know, a little ways in, you start talking terms a little bit, and it's like, at the end of the day, the long story short here is that we ended up going, hey, we don't really want to even give it up anymore, right? Because that was when we were kind of transitioning to wanting to just solo hold. And you know, they had the potential, you know, of maybe going, hey, we kind of want to do it in 3 weeks now, right? So you can set that type of stuff up, and these alliances, little things like that, this is still going to exist. It's just it's going to exist on the node right before the siege, right? It's still there as a barrier to entry, right? You know, Vertex, Vexus, Cho Nation, Black Rose, you know, Legatum, Barcode, right? All these guys, they could all drop on the Media node in the first week and say, "Fuck you, Snake," and then fucking just give it to Legatum, right?
Yeah.
And then never show up again. You see what I'm saying? Like,
You got time for a couple more questions?
yeah, sure.
All right, one more. My boy Menace here. Serious question for a guild like Art, who's sort of starting out at that entry levels of Siege ourselves. What tips for someone near or where we are to strengthening in a Siege sense, excluding gearing up? So I don't know how familiar you are with Art, but do you have any advice for a guild that's kind of trying to find
all
their way?
about Art. I think
That'll be the last question. Then we'll call it.
the first thing that happened with Art, right, is Art was working with Vertex Alliance, right, and so they did that. They got brought over to Calpheon, and basically they got put onto Calpheon. They said, hey, you know, you guys are taking Calpheon. You're gonna give it to Rage or whatever happened. You know, I'm sure people are gonna argue with what had happened, but you know, Rage is taking the castle. You guys are taking the castle, right?
Right.
They kind of feed them for the work they had done with fighting Manup, right? So that in itself really helped strengthen that guild. They got a lot of new people in that guild. That guild has gotten a lot stronger in that short amount of time, just by the nature of that, right? It's a short-term burst that they need to take advantage of. So they're in a position right now where people look at them just like they look at Rage, right? Just like the people are looking at Haste. There are a lot of those are the up-and-coming guilds right now. Those are the guilds that people think of when they think of entry level right now for Siege. So when it comes to that, it's going to come back to the same thing I was saying before, right? We're about to hit a new transition when we're looking at 1v1s, right? We're looking at 1v1 for Sieges. So what I would suggest someone like them would do would be look at a smaller region. You know, don't look directly at Calpheon. You know, aim for something that you guys can try and hold for yourselves. Aim for something that you guys think you would be satisfied holding, that you guys are okay with doing. You know, you can even set up a situation with somebody else. You know, with an ally, like with Haste, for instance, right? Or with Rage, if you guys are on friendly terms with them or whatever. And you could say, hey, first week we're going to come at this hard. First week we're going straight for Serendia. You and I are going to drop on that together, right? We're going to take that node to make sure one of us gets the region, right, or whatever it happens to be. I'm not exactly sure how the node system works on the Serendia and Balnos region. I'm not 100% sure if it's exactly like the castle regions are, but you set it up to where you guys take that under the stipulation that you let them have it first, right? If you think you want to be the kind of the alpha of the group, you say you guys can have it. It's all you, you know, in the situation of this relationship, and then you put them in a position where you go, you know, either next week you say next week I want to try and 1v1 you guys, right? Or we're going to try and take the node and fight you guys for it, right? Or you put yourself in a situation where you go, we're going to help to try and hold this node so that you guys can keep it, right? And then we want to take it 2 weeks from now, and then we want you guys to try and help us hold it. Or we want to just set this up so that we can get out in front of this and hold this region to get to a point to where we can put any sort of precedence on it. And then we want to just disband this relationship and stay there by ourselves the whole time, right? So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with setting up some sort of temporary relationship to try and get a foothold in one of these smaller regions. And then you could disband that relationship and try to hold it on your own and say, you're welcome to come try and attack us, you know, but.
And I've been through enough stuff. I know that question's for you and this is about you, but I've been through enough alliances and allies and all that kind of stuff to say that when I bring on somebody new, very short expectations. I have a phenomenal relationship with Fresh Ascendants, and we had a very short, we're going to do this, and then we're going to see how it goes for our guilds. Because it doesn't matter what your relationship with somebody is in Discord. It matters how the other 99 people in your guild react to it. And so just going, and we learned that with Chonation on Calpheon, just going, here's a 10-week, you know, diagram of how the rotation's going to go. Anybody ever shows you something like that, you fucking run. You run so fast because you have no idea what's going to happen after 1 week. Set up a 2-week situation, maybe 3-week if the differentiation between the gear is that big. Just set up a small thing and just wipe your hands of it and renegotiate after that. That's true with anybody, not just anybody. Just set up something small with somebody that you like, respect, or want to get to know.
Yeah, and the main thing really is that you have to decide what position you want to be in, right? If you want to be the person that tries to hold the region in the long run with these 1v1s, then give it to them first. Let them have it, right? You know, if you have trouble the next week taking it back, then so be it. But just put it in a position to where you guys work together to take it, right? Because if you let them have it and they happen to lose it, then they'll help you take it. And then once they've helped you take it and they've repaid that debt, then you tell them, we're now going to try and hold on to this, right? And set that situation up from the very beginning. Say that, you know, we're going to help you guys come right at this. We're going to come right out the door strong. We're going to try and take this and let you guys hold it, right? And then we're going to try and take it back from you. And if it gets to a point where we're having trouble, we want you to help us take it back, and then we're going to try and hold it. And that's the end of the relationship. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're basically just trying to give each other a little bit of a boost to get into that spot to where you can actually try and fight for it yourself.
And go from there.
So,
yeah.
Exactly.
All right, man. That's the last question I got. I'll leave it open to you if you got something else you want to say.
No, that's it, man. I mean, shout out to my people. You know, that's about it.
I think they repped hard, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. We're almost 4 hours into this, dude. It was cool to get to know you a little bit, and you've got an amazing story. I had no idea Edan was that lit, and he went through so much to get here. It was a good story.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, really, if you want to be powerful in this game, in the Siege scene, make everybody you know recruit witches and wizards, re-roll witches and wizards, right? Don't invite anybody into the guild unless they are a witch or wizard, and just stick to it, man. Because eventually, at some point, you will end up with 60 plus witches and wizards in your guild, and you're gonna win. That's it, man. That's the end of the day. That's how you win sieges in this game. It's a damn shame, but if you're out there trying to play a ranger, trying to become somebody in this game, it's not gonna work. It really it's like trying to become a celebrity and living in LA and acting and becoming the next Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah,
it's
not
like, gonna happen.
Yeah, it's exactly like you just buy a webcam and you play a video game and you think you can be a streamer. You know, it just,
exactly
it
right.
just doesn't happen.
Like, yeah, the people like Mac, the people like Tim, the people like Vert, right? Huntler, all these guys, they put a lot of work into this stuff. It's just like playing a ranger. When you see a ranger with really good gear, like when you see Shane, right, on his ranger with really good gear, he put a lot of work into that. He's a lucky piece of crap, but he put a lot of work in it. And at the end of the day, he's not even a ranger anymore. He re-rolled too. Everybody re-rolled, right? That's just the way it is. Like, if you want to be the best, you got to sacrifice that stuff. You can't be out there trying to play a ninja, you know, thinking you're gonna do something. You're not.
I want to invite you back. I think it's going to be, you know, a couple of lit weeks here as we all try to figure out what's going on with Siege. So hit me up in Discord if you ever want to do this again. Open an invite. This was an amazing conversation. We don't have to go over the history of everything that ever happened with Vision. We can never talk about Vision again. I want to keep it a little more current and a little more short. But I really like getting the stories out from people. And thank you for being so open and, you know, telling us all the stuff and the perception that you gave, you know, probably the 2,000 or 3,000 people that came in here. So I'm going to upload this to YouTube. I'll send you the YouTube link. It'll be up by tomorrow morning because I upgraded the fuck out of my internet. Next week will be Sasha. The week after that is to be determined. But I'm going to do this every Thursday for the foreseeable future. And then I really want to reiterate that BekiLL is watching these podcasts Thursday and Saturday. Please, please, please get your guild leaders. If you have anything to do with Siege, if you want to talk about, if you're relevant, get at me for the Siege Discord. I'm currently administrating it. I'm going to take a kind of a back seat to the whole being a meme lord on the Saturday podcast and make it a little more constructive because I really want BekiLL to have a great idea of what's going on here because I think that's incredibly productive for the game. So we're going to make these podcasts a little more serious. We got Sasha next week. We'll have somebody the week after that. We got a couple of options. We'll nail it down. And then just every Saturday, 15 minutes after Siege ends, I'll be streaming it. Anyone's welcome to stream it. It's not a big deal. But I really appreciate the support. You specifically, BekiLL, Vert as well. That 2 weeks ago, when Winners and you hashed it out and all that kind of stuff, I think that really re-solidified that. So I want to thank you publicly for coming in and also for doing this. It's a big deal, and I think we're keeping.
I want to thank you,
alive.
honestly. I mean, this stuff this is content. This is real. You know, you can't downplay this stuff, right? You're really actually bringing stuff back. You know, in the kind of the wake of Lucari not being here anymore. You know, there's a big opening there for people to really kind of take control of this. You know, start getting a real podcast going for the Siege scene. You know, keep the drama fresh, right? And at the same time, this Thursday thing you're doing, this is great. I mean, I plan to be here for the entire Sasha interview because I am extremely interested in hearing about everything Sasha has to say. I think he's one of the most interesting people in this game right now. I really do. And so
Agreed.
I'm sure every single person in my guild will be here too, listening to it. Yeah, I think the viewer count's only going to keep going up. You know, just kind of listening to these interviews. I think they're great. You know, hopefully you can pick up Sav. You know, I know he's a little shy. He's a little I don't know what the word before it. Baby back bitch, I think is the thing I was thinking of. But
well,
you know,
I'm trying to build a relationship back up with him, right? Because it's been meme. I'd love to have Sav and Winners together. I think that would be a cool thing, and we could talk about, you know, public versus private and all that kind of stuff. I would love to do that. I'd really love to do that. I want to be the guy that can meme on somebody, but we can sit down, you know, over a green cup of wine and just talk about it. You know, let's just hash it out. Let's talk about your experience, because everybody has such a drastic different experience in this game. It's been shocking to me. You know, the Blade Boquest thing blew my freaking head. I had no idea what that kid had been through. That was incredible. I had no idea the drama that was going on in Edan. And if I don't know, there's so many other people that don't know.
With the guys trying to pull the guild away from him and all that stuff is crazy.
Yeah, the doxing, the sending groceries, that's gangster shit. To send groceries to somebody's house, like, Jesus Christ, that poor guy. Like, nobody deserves that over video game shit. But anyway, I really appreciate that. You know, I do make a sacrifice for this. There's many nights I don't get to go to bed with my wife anymore. I have to just kind of sneak in there, so I do like streaming. Yeah, I do like streaming, but I really love this game. I'm sure since
she heard my voice, man, she hasn't had the ability to really.
she was gonna come in. We were gonna do a little meme thing, but we had a rough night with our son last night. We had to wake up a couple of times, so I was up late, so it was all on her. So she was gonna come and say hey, but she went to bed early, so she says hi, but we'll catch you next time.
Hell yes. Yeah. And at the end of the day, man, I mean, the key thing to know about Sav, you know, if you really want to get into his heart, you just gotta, when you think in a Sav, I mean, I'm gonna send you a picture, right? You need to think of Sav in this form, not of a human being, not of just an Asian gamer, but more of the reflection of an Asian gamer in a doorknob. That's kind of the thing you need to look for, right? He's the reflection of an Asian dude in the doorknob. You know, that's it, man.
I have no idea what that means.
Just take a peek in general. You see what I'm talking about.
Okay. I still don't know what this means.
All right, it was a pleasure.
All right, man. Thanks for the time. We'll catch you soon. See you Saturday. That was it, boys. That was a podcast right there. I'm not showing that picture. I don't know what that means, and I don't want to show it. Please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube. The subscriptions to, you know, obviously my Twitch channel, the follows to my Twitch channel helps me. But if you just want to hang out in Discord, you've got ideas, constructive criticism, anything like that, Discord is for you guys. The YouTube and the Twitch are obviously for me. So... yeah, shout out to Vertex. I'd really love to sit down and do this with you guys. If you want to hash out some terms or whatever the case is, all that kind of stuff, way open to all of that. So next week is Sasha.